All right, live once again. I am back. Hopefully, all you guys are doing awesome out there. Welcome to another episode of a very merry Poppitt Christmas holiday season to you guys. I am wearing my nice, ugly Christmas sweater here. I know it's a little bit too early for that, but regardless of the fact, I am wearing it. It is here. It is Christmas time. It is holiday season. Whatever you celebrate, go celebrate it. And I figured today I would discuss a cool little topic for you guys here. And where I'm going with this is I wanted to discuss my passion just for the overall process of making things, seeing things start at the beginning and make it all the way to the end and eventually become a tangible item that I hold in my hands. And I want to start with this particular volume of the Lost Lives series that's due out in a few weeks here. But I wanted to walk through just my overall sense of how I create and my overall process of what it takes to make things happen and not be deterred or give up. And I know it becomes stressful, but there are many steps that I kind of take to ensure that anything that I'm putting my time into makes it to reality. It sees the light of day or whatever. So that's what I want to talk about. It might be a 2-minute episode. It might be a 20-minute episode. I don't know at this point. I'm just going to dive right into it. So the first thing I did with this specific release is I picked out 2 or 3 out of the 7 live shows that I discussed yesterday on Madras Mondays. But, since I had the 6 or 7 live CDs that never made it to anything, I picked out my 2 favorites. Soon to be a third. The third one is a must just because of the historical significance for the band's career. But I'm getting on some tangents here, but going back to Lost Lives Volume 2. So initially, we were working on this simultaneously with Volume 1, as we discussed last night as well, how we were, obviously doing back-to-back, working with Tony on getting the artworks made for both, because I already had a pre-planned thing where I wanted to do at least 2 volumes. And so we kept it simplistic. Tony wanted a more branding effect for us. So he thought, because we used the mascot on the last one, that he wanted to just do a killer branding for Madras in general, because we don't really have a brand to our name or whatever. We just kind of have some artworks, but we don't have an official, just when you see this branding, this is Madras. And obviously that is just fucking killer right there, right? That's a black and white version that we'll definitely be utilizing more and more of. So, but we went with that effect on this specific one, and so we can move forward into using him again and again and again and again on subsequent releases. And we used our mascot actually on the Maleficent record, so that is when he kind of showed his face, not publicly speaking because we were using him on the Crypt Keeper demos, but we wanted to utilize him especially on for the Maleficent release, and that was kind of his debut to the world. So after Tony approached me with that specific branding idea, I was like, absolutely, that sounds amazing. So I already knew that I didn't have to worry about the visual aspect, because I like to hire a team behind me. I know how my team works. I know when to get involved and when to step away and let them kind of do their thing. And that's just how I particularly work. It just seems to work out great in the end for me because I have so many other things I focus on. So while the artwork's getting done, and whatever business dealings we've worked out, I make sure to take care of it, because I'm under the impression as well, like, I don't like to be in debt to people. I just don't. Who does? So as long as they're taken care of and they take care of me, that's all that matters. So having a team behind me and knowing how they work is really beneficial. This guy works a different way than this guy. Okay, this guy works this way. Okay. And then you kind of find your niche. So I'm almost like the glue, right? I have all these different factions of the puzzle here, and then I'm kind of the guy that like glues everything together and tells the story to the overall product or whatever. It's kind of like what we do here on Poppitt's Corner. Like, I'm trying to tell a story and convey that story as best as I can, because that's what my job is to do. I particularly enjoy doing things like that in life in general. I just love the overall kind of, how do I get this story out there? How can I tell it in a way that's going to make sense to other people that are going to listen to this or watch this, and especially with a raw release such as the Lost Lives series. That's what I was kind of going for. How is, obviously people are gonna love it or hate it. I already knew that going into it, but as a fan of music in general, and so if I was a fan of Madrost, right? Not saying I'm not, but saying as an outsider, how would I want this to look? How would I want this to sound? Does this sound, good enough or great enough to earn the 12 or 13 or so dollars of somebody supporting this and actually buying it? And at the end of the day, I definitely wanted to go with quality, like I do with everything. And this is what we chose. So obviously, with all of the series here, I tell a quick story of this particular show, what I remember, the lineup, the team behind me, Mr. Rob Caldwell, Tony Cole, and just, all the guys that were involved in this. I definitely have reached out to many of them that are still around. I wanted to make sure to get their blessings in doing this, because that's important to me. I would hate to, release something that doesn't get the blessing of the players involved. I know legally I still can, because it's, I'm the one that owns it, but I still like giving that respect to the people involved in this specific release and subsequent releases and previous releases. I always, I can't please everybody, but at least the least I could do is at least reach out to as many of them as possible and just say, hey, this is happening. I would love to have your blessing, and I'll get you a couple copies and whatnot. So subsequently, the artwork got done. Once the mastering got done by Rob Caldwell, that guy's a wizard. I don't know how he does it, but so far, everything that I've worked on him with, he's brought out so many elements that I didn't even know existed in these releases, and he's cut out frequencies that were kind of annoying in the original, but with his magic, they're subsequently gone. He's brought up certain levels, certain instruments. I don't know how he does it. Anyway, regardless of the facts, so having that team behind me is super important. And then having you guys obviously support it is hugely beneficial for me. Just knowing that we're all fans of music. We all love to support one another, and the fact that you guys want to see more and more of these, amazing. So I'll keep doing it as much as I can. I don't want to release certain things, but for the most part or whatever, expect a lot more of cool releases in the near future from the band. And, once I get the masterings, I go through a CD manufacturing plant. upload the tracks, put in all the information, all the codes for each of the songs. It's like, I think it's an IRSC or ISRC code or whatever. Regardless of the fact, I put in all that information. Obviously, I place the order, and then I just kind of wait. And the waiting process always kills me because I just want the thing in my hands right when I buy it, right when I make the purchase, because I want to just hold it in my hand, So once the waiting period happens, obviously you upload the artworks and whatnot too with the subsequent songs, artworks meaning the templates. The templates, for how whatever their template is, you upload all the artworks on it, right? Subsequently, there's the picture. Anyway, I'm getting off on some tangents. So once that happens, obviously they ship out the product to you or me, and I open it up, and I did the unboxing video for the Volume 2 series for the first time, and I definitely will do more and more and more of them going forward for you guys. That was a lot of fun. And just knowing that it now exists because of the amount of effort that we all have put into it, me and my team behind us, just magic, man. It's, I can't express how cool the process of just making things is, because this is going to now last hopefully a lifetime, at least longer than what, at least 100, 200 years, hopefully, you hope that as the artist. But yeah, and then, popping this in my CD player and whatnot, just so cool. So, obviously I'm extremely proud, extremely grateful of all the releases, and extremely proud and grateful that and humbled that you guys still support the band and what we do here. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on this. Do you guys like the overall creative process, the process of just making things, kind of just knowing that this stuff is now out there for the world to judge, to listen to do whatever they want with it, but just knowing the fact that you created something that's going to last longer than you are going to be here on this earth. Just super cool, in my opinion. Art is the last bastion of longevity, I would say. It's the only art form, it's the only thing in this world that lasts longer than us in our lifetime. But anyway, guys, enough from me blabbing. I hope you guys have a safe holiday season here, and wear your ugly Christmas sweaters. And for another episode. Oh yeah, the tea's good. For another episode of Poppitt's Corner, guys, I will see you relatively soon. I'm out of here. Cheers. What's going on, everyone? Tanner Poppitt here, Madrost and Poppitt's Corner. Just reminding you guys that for the first time ever, Madrost's sophomore album, Into the Aquatic Sector, is now being reissued for the first time on a 2 CD set and vinyl LP. Now, with the CD set, will include a live bonus disc, a live soundboard recording entitled Live Aquatic from that specific era of the band's career. Available now only at NoLifeTomatoRecords.com. What was that link again? Oh, yeah, NoLifeTomatoRecords.com. Now, let's check out the episode you came to see. All right, what's going on, man? Welcome to another edition of Poppitt's Corner. I've just the distinct pleasure. I haven't seen this gentleman in
it's been a while.
God knows how long. But you have requested him many times to me over the years here, and I figured, what the hell, I'll give it to you.
I think it's been a year.
Yeah,
it's only over the years. Yeah, I'm kind of that old, I guess.
Well, over the past year, I've been getting a lot of requests.
Really?
How's Benny doing? Where's Benny? So I figured
good to hear.
We're at
Thank
an undisclosed location in Orange County, California.
Yep.
At Benny's residence or mom's residence, whatever the fuck it is. So
it's a house.
It's a house. So I want to welcome Mr. Benny the Breeze. How you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate all the sentiments from everybody.
I know my radio station in a box. As you call it.
It is.
So
well, I had the table up here already.
Well, how you been, dude? It's been a minute
painful.
to tell. Oh, painful. So, explain to the viewership what's been going on.
A lot of doctor visits. A lot of
Well, it's not as the most interesting answer that there is.
Well, there you go.
About a year or two ago, we were doing a radio station, and
we were fixing to build something.
Fixing to build something, and something happened.
Yeah.
So what happened?
I fell out of a ceiling, so about 8 feet. Everybody knows the story.
Well, for those of you who
don't think they know,
they
know. I fell out of the ceiling. Somebody kicked me out of the ceiling, 8 feet. Hit a wall and fractured my neck. So,
why does God make bullets?
So people can shoot people, I guess.
There you go. See, so I asked the most important question.
So you can throw them in the pan and light them on fire and just walk away.
So the basis of the show.
Yeah.
I want to go through your entire career.
No.
Well, that's too fucking bad. Because that's what we're going to do here. We're going to shoot the shit.
What career?
Well, your radio career and stuff. How you got started and your journey, dude. Because many people don't know you went to Hawaii.
Well, that was a long time ago.
That's what we're going to get into.
Long time ago.
Well, let's start there, dude. So what year is it?
I don't know. 86, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 87, somewhere in there.
And? So you just wanted to move to Hawaii, and that was it?
Well, nope. I was on the road doing stuff, working, and I came home for a while, and I was looking through the paper. I was bored, as I really don't like California that much. So I saw an ad in the paper for a couple tickets to Hawaii one way, and I bought them. And I got on the plane and I went.
Now, how much were tickets back in?
It was $100.
$100, and that's just round trip tickets.
For 2 years. Nope, one way.
One way.
Yep, I stayed for 2 years.
That's pretty damn. That's pretty damn good, dude.
Well, it was 80. I'm pretty sure it was 86, 87, somewhere in there. Had to have been.
So what was the first? So as soon as you arrived to Hawaii, when you got your bags, what the hell did you do after?
Hooked up with some friends that I didn't know. They became friends, Crash on the floor, crash on the beach.
But just a suitcase and that was it, huh?
Yeah. I had a backpack. I didn't take much.
So, I guess jobs out there. What did you do?
I didn't wear a chicken suit, but I worked at a chicken place. I was a cook once, so. But I mean, yeah, I just went there and hooked up and had some fun. It was about rock and roll and doing some club stuff with some bands and, Well,
because you actually played music too.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
You played what, guitar?
For a minute. I think for about a minute. But I like jumping around and singing and playing the drums more. So.
But what did you do? So when you would do a club gig, was it just you acoustically speaking?
No,
or was
No, there was other people involved. When I went to the island.
This chair goes down.
It
Love
probably
that.
does.
Love that. That's cool. Okay.
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, I just went over there with a guy who I thought was a friend of mine, and he was a vocalist, but I had a better voice range than he did for what they were trying to put together. And I don't know, we came close to opening up for Aerosmith and came super close to opening up for Yes, but they didn't want an opening act, so nobody played there. The Blaisdell that's the arena on Oahu. Is called the Blaisdell.
Wow, so you almost played an arena show, a couple arena shows.
I was on stage there once for
what, like setting up the stage, or?
No. Well, we were. I had a little story we were doing. It was a pretty big show, and I knew quite a few of the guys in the bands that had played in other bands on the island, and you get to know the circuit players. So you get to do things. You go to warehouses, you practice, you play, because everybody's hanging out and doing whatnot. But you have a day job, so you can keep the money flowing for whatever you're doing. And you just find warehouses to play in and clubs to play in, and hang out with the right people. And
now, when you were doing all this stuff, did you actually have a physical band, or you just played with other?
I played with other people.
Yeah,
we put a band together over there.
And now, when you were, was it all original songs that you guys were doing? Covers?
You got to start covers. I mean, we just put them together. We were, for about a year and a half. We played a little places, but you have to play the club scene. If you throw your own music in there, it's got to be later on or whatnot, because you got to keep the people drinking. So,
that's what your job is to fucking make sure that people are just drinking all
and play
night?
the right tunes. You got to read a crowd too sometimes. But I mean, it's 80 something, so it's not that big of a deal. It was fun. That's all I got to say. I had a lot of fun doing it. I came close once, but stopped. Had a lot of equipment stolen, stuff like that.
Well, give me that story. What the hell happened with your equipment?
The guy that I went with stole all my equipment and pawned it, and took off to the Big Island and left me stranded. So
then after this, how did you just what?
I had friends. I called them friends because they gave me a place to stay, and they liked me a little bit better than they liked him. So it was obvious, I mean, I'm kind of likable sometimes, so.
Well, yeah. I would hope so. I'd hope so, man.
But yeah, I mean, that's basically it. So, the rest is history. I hung it up, and.
Why did you hang it up? Why did you hang it up playing music?
I found a woman.
Oh, okay. And
I was doing something different at the time, so.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense now. So then I guess take me to where you were going off the island or whatever. Like to where you were.
Oh, we moved. I moved back to. We went back to Northern California. So went to Northern California. It was after the quake happened up in Santa Cruz or something like that.
Okay.
So we were living up there at Fort Ord for about a year and a half, and then I moved to Arizona.
Okay.
So
then after this,
yeah. I guess I didn't do anything except build stuff.
For you were in construction, correct? Yep. For that past next 15?
I just built stuff.
15 years or something.
Probably more than that. I've built stuff all my life, but when I really got into it, so.
I mean, where you were, so you would obviously were doing construction back then until just recently with your action.
Well, yeah,
stuff.
When I came back home in 2009, came back to California from Colorado in 2009.
Right. And you went to Colorado after the Hawaii thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I spent 11 years there, so had a really good time up there too. But as far as coming back and doing this and getting back into the music and stuff that I was doing before, it didn't really happen till I saw an ad in the paper. So
now, who did you contact to actually get into radio?
It was a station in Hollywood. I went up for an interview, and I went up to Hollywood and did the interview, and was called back for a second time, and ended up down at the Anaheim station.
Well, what was the station called?
Well, that the one up there was KCLA.
Okay.
So
public radio or just
and ours was KTST.
Okay.
So the one in Anaheim was a different one than the one in LA.
Okay.
So, and that's that's basically it. It was just an affiliate. So, and I figured I didn't want to drive up to LA every day. I'd rather just hit Anaheim.
And when you were hitting up Anaheim, obviously, you pretty much got the manager call.
Well, I had met him once before, but I was already jumping up the ladder. I didn't want to sit stagnant. I wanted to go live real fast, but they had this 5-week program you had to go through, which I didn't mind, but I hated it. it was a little bit of paperwork and this, that, and crap because you had to put your shows together. You know, you had to be in on time. You know, if you had a 15-minute show, you had to fit your commercials and everything into that 15 minutes, and it couldn't have been a second more. You know, so you get good at rolling those things and figuring that stuff out, and then when you go live, it's not a big deal.
And were you playing rock music at this particular point?
Yeah, because you could play whatever you want. So it was free format, I called it. But yeah, I just worked my way all the way up. You know, the first manager ended up dying. She was great, great lady. I learned a lot from her. And then she ended up having a bad disease and dying. So the other manager came down from Hollywood, and I'd seen him, but, you know, he was changing things up. And I was already editing and doing all that other BS to help out the other people so I could go live. And then I went live. And then I kind of milled my way up to the management place. Started teaching people how to do what I was doing on the computers and whatever else.
Well, and there was also like a DJ thing too, where you kind of had to go through like, you know, they had little booths that you would have to go through like
different rooms with different control panels in them.
But you would learn how to put together your show there, or become a DJ or whatever.
Yep.
So,
but from the ground up, not just having it on a screen already set for you. Your engineers doing that, right? So I used to put shows together on my computer, and I would use my computer, and I would play my shows. You know, so I kind of I brought that over there, and it started getting a little bit better. Then I designed the web page for the. You know, helped. I should say help. I didn't do it. I should say I helped to design the web page that we eventually started using for KTST. So, I mean, I was on TNN radio for a while with Jimmy Alvarez.
What years? Give me some years here, man.
Oh, geez. Let's see. I'd say 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 2000, something like that. Because just recently, what is it, set 2017?
It's 2019.
They're 19 now. I mean, duh. So 2 years ago, I fell out of the ceiling and fractured my neck.
I can't believe it's been that long already.
November of 2017.
Wow.
Yep. And I've had 2 surgeries since.
And I mean, we were still doing shows out of there for like.
But I mean, we were doing them, and when I left, because I didn't like what was going on, I just left, and we were starting our own thing at the bar, which kind of fell through, and that's where I fell out of the ceiling and broke my neck, or fractured it anyway. I exploded some bones.
That's insane. So when you were, I guess, at KTST, you were there for a long time.
Yeah, I'd say a couple, 5 years, maybe 6 years.
What was it, 2009 to 2000?
No, I'd say 10 or 11, right around in there when I first went. It was something like that.
And you originally, you had me come in for a radio interview because we met at the Saxon show at the Galaxy.
Yep.
And
that's when the whole thing kind of started for that, because we were putting a show together, and I probably had 8 shows on KTST.
Yeah, you had a lot.
I mean, I did. I pretty much, I was on the air quite a bit over there. So. Well,
you're also pretty much running the goddamn station, so, it's not like they were, like, compensating you in any way. So
No. This was all basically for me pro bono. I mean, I didn't make any money unless I made it on my own outside somewhere, sitting on a seminar or doing the panel things or going somewhere, things like that. There was a few bands that paid me to play their stuff, which I didn't really like taking their money. So I would, merch, I'd, give me a CD, give me merch, whatever, and I'd put it on there, So, because I had so many shows.
Now, who was the first band that you ever interviewed in your career?
Ooh. Wow, you know what? I don't know if I know that. Good question, though, but I don't know if I can recall.
Okay, well, give me a year that you first started interviewing bands.
Oh, I don't know. I'd say maybe 2013, somewhere in there.
That's bullshit. You had me
maybe
in 2012. You had me in 12.
Well, see,
so.
there you go. My brain ain't working right.
But I
Okay.
wanted to know. So
maybe, yeah.
You were doing it in like the mid 2000s or something. You started.
No. I mean, I couldn't say. Before I started radio, I interviewed some bands before, but nothing.
Well, give me one.
Know.
Give me one,
I don't even
dude.
I don't know. I'm trying to think and I'm blanking out, you know? That's all, I'm blanking out.
Okay.
So I know you, but you know, I know Madras, and
but nobody before us. I'm talking like.
Yeah, there had to have been. There had
like
to
at
have been
KCLA, wasn't you weren't interviewing bands there? In
No, I
Hollywood?
didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't put any shows up there on that. Up on that one, I didn't send them any of the shows I was doing to put up there. So
Now,
it was just KTST.
when you were so at KTST, kind of give me a what you would do there day to day. Give me a day to day thing.
Oh, geez. Okay, so
And what time would you get there, kind of thing?
let's just say that let's say it's a Saturday. I would get there at probably 7:00 in the morning, and then I'd go on the air, and I would do a morning show just because I was already there. So while I was playing music, I'd do paperwork. I'd get the station running up and running, make sure everything's going, check the what do you call that? The Facebook thingy-mabobber and all that.
Social media pages.
Yep, and then I'd start editing the shows that needed to run on the station that I had to, put into a scheduled task for them to run. So I had to edit all those.
Now, what is a scheduled task for us dumb people?
Well, scheduled task is something that's going to run on your computer at a special time, at a specific time.
Okay, so the DJs would pay the station pretty much to
for
air
me
their
to edit.
shows.
Yep, for me to edit and air it. Yep.
At specific times, like pretty much weekly.
Yep.
And then they would do it like they would pre-record it, or they would come in live to do it, or something, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yep. And I used to do it from Thursday because I did a Thursday night show. Friday they opened up at 12:00, and if I wasn't working, I would get there. Saturday I'd be there in the morning about 9, 8, something like that, 8 or 9. Sunday the same thing. Because
So
I had a morning show and I had an evening show.
So your days and weekends were pretty much at that fucking station.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you weren't getting paid.
No, I had to make my own money.
And that's why you left, ladies and gentlemen. So,
well, I figured I could get sponsors and stuff like that, but I knew where the station was going. I knew that it couldn't flourish anymore, and I had run myself out. So that was the biggest part of me leaving there.
Was that you exhausted all your efforts?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I used to go to concerts for free. I'd go everywhere. I did the racing schedule out there at Fontana 4 years in a row. Go out there and shoot photos and stuff like that and put them on my website. And, so I did a lot of my own things. I did Battle of the Bands. I was judging a bunch of that stuff. So if I was going to really pursue it, before I fell out of the ceiling and fractured my neck and screwed my head up a little bit, that's the whole thing right there. So in a nutshell, is that I haven't been back, but I'm trying to get there. I just want to put my capital back in the game.
Now, what do you want to do? Because you can definitely do a podcast like what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. I have all this stuff.
I know you do. You have a radio station in a box.
Yeah, absolutely. But I totally get it. I've just been doing a little bit of stuff at a time. I can't really physically do a whole bunch, Well,
you obviously you've had friends help you since and everything like that.
I have great friends. I am super, super blessed with the friends I have.
Well,
I'm so appreciative of them because there's a lot of times when some of the things that you just want to, I don't want to deal with it. I just want to lay down and not have anybody bother me, or, I want to stick pencils in my ear and rub them around, but it's not going to work, So that's generally how it is. But I have great friends. I mean, there's not one that I can't go and hang out with any given time. and I'm broke as a dick dog. I mean, I ain't got a dime to my name, but I'm all right. My mom lets me, kick it at her house, and sooner or later, if I get my disability, then I'll be able to make some stuff happen.
So you haven't.
So
it's still been 2 years, and you haven't received shit.
No, I have a court date though. I have a court date. It's this year.
Wow.
So I'll figure it out, and if I get denied, then I got to get a lawyer to help me, because I physically can't do what I used to do to make the money to do the radio thing.
Well, because you were a carpenter,
and the medication I'm on's really, zombie land. So I'm trying to do that. I've been to a neurologist. They want to do acupuncture, to try to help me back. So I don't know what else to do. We're just gonna figure it out. But yeah, I just hang out and do what I can. So
have you ever thought about doing an actual podcast? Because I know podcasting is more, beneficial than radio nowadays. People
Absolutely.
love to have podcasts.
Yeah, because I can carry around a recorder anywhere, right? And go do an interview, come back and do this.
Right.
Right, and then put the, play the recorder.
Put it all together, put songs on and stuff like that, too.
It's called editing.
Right. Right. We don't edit on my show. This is just a fucking...
This is just the way it is.
This is just live as fuck, so...
I know we got Corn on Macabre over here.
Yeah.
Faggotron, CDs.
I can't believe there was a band called Faggotron.
I know. Got my big brain out here and stuff, too.
You have to. We have to have some kick. We have to kick down some knowledge, some ducats.
Ducats. Well, I just wanted, I just say hey out to all you guys out there, and thanks for the support. And,
of course, man.
I appreciate it.
Well, this interview's not fucking over yet. It's only been a good 20 minutes. So.
Yeah, I know.
And we got tons of time left, my man.
We do.
So,
okay.
How would you pick the bands that you would interview too? You would just go out and see shows and say you like that band? And
yeah. When I was when I was working with TNN Radio, I would go see the up and comings and some of the club bands, like Midnight Hour was a real good band that I liked. Those guys were really, really good. Suburban Legends, all these ska bands, stuff like that. Those guys were really good, and the scene was great, but it's not my scene, But I know most of all those guys, from Star Pool and things like that. So the interviewing things, if I wanted a band and I wanted to go see them, I would just go see them, and then I would try to find a way to interview them. Like talk to the club guy or who's the band management. Is the band all by itself management, or do I have to talk to the club guy or whatever? So I would finagle my way in there, no matter what. I'd just talk to him. So, and usually I could get an interview. I mean, that's how I got UFO at the Coach House, Shanker. So, there's a lot of interviews that I have that I've never released.
We got Andy Summers.
So Andy Summers, yep.
From
I did him on the phone. Yeah, he only did 5 interviews that week he was out here, and I was one of them.
It's crazy.
So I have that one. Yeah, he was doing the documentary of the police. So and that was all. It was a big thing. It was my friend Gail Murphy. She's a celebritizer, but she hooked me up with that. She thought of me, and I was grateful for that. So, I mean, that's like one of my big. It's one of my big ones. So,
obviously, it's a bucket list item.
Yeah. And and I seen. I tried to get an interview with oh geez, what's the drummer's name? Stuart Copeland, and I was like a foot from him, and he was talking to somebody. I didn't want to be rude and interrupt, so I waited my turn. And as soon as he got done, he looked at me and just bailed out. And I go, "Oh, that's how it's going to be." I go, "Dude, I just want to have a conversation with you for a second. I'm with it." And he just, turned around, looked at me, and then moseyed on. I'm like, "All right, dude, whatever. You're too big for your britches." So, doesn't matter to me. Stuart Copeland. Anyway.
You got Andy Summers, so why is it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, what has been your most proudest moment of your radio career?
Yeah, I don't know. I've had a few. Sitting on the panels at the IES Fest.
And the IES Fest was
It still goes on every year.
It still goes on.
Indie Entertainment Summit goes on every year.
And it's pretty much an industry thing where they'll
Yep.
teach
Well,
up and
you
comers kind of how the industry is working,
Right,
and how
and
it's
you can hook
changed.
up with lawyers and stuff like that, and a publicist and things that you need, and that's what they provide. So the up and comers don't get screwed, and they know where they what's going on, and can figure it out. So the
Right.
IES is a good thing.
And now
I was involved in that for every year from its inception, so that was pretty cool.
And what? Give me another moment besides the any entertainment.
Ooh, Fountain Valley Summerfest. I gave the winners of the Battle of the Bands. I was on stage doing that. That was pretty cool. Steve Miller in the orchestra. That was pretty cool. Geez, I don't know. I really don't. There's a whole bunch of them. I mean, there's a bunch of them.
Bunch that you can't name.
Yeah, because I just, sometimes I get overloaded with it, but, I've had a lot of great moments. I've hooked up with a lot of good organizations, and that was the whole thing is you have to go and show the support, like the FIDA Fest. I did that for a while too, So there's just all those different things out there, but most of it's in, LA and stuff, and I'm not an LA guy. I like to stay down in Orange County. So, if and when I get stuff back up and get my crap together, it'll be Cast Radio.
Cast Radio.
Yep,
Okay.
KAST. Cast.
Now, when is this all going to come into
I
fruition?
don't know. I couldn't tell you. I have people that want me to do it a little quicker than I'm doing it, but I have a reason for holding back. And
well, obviously, you fucking fell on your neck. Of course.
So, well, that's part of it. So, we just, I'll leave it at that, and it's pretty good. I mean, I've been doing okay. So, we'll leave it and see what's going on.
Of course,
got a lot of help from my buddy Tom, Atomic Tom, Steve-O. And,
Super Toms.
And my buddy Stan, and, there's tons of them. My buddy Dave. So, I mean, I went to see a UFO cover band, all chicks, and they were good. Too Hot to Handle, number 2, all chicks, and they were good. They do all UFO.
That's good, man. I'm glad you're still going out to actual shows.
Well, I got taken out there because I don't drive too much anymore.
Physically, you can't.
Yeah, I can, but just other issues with vehicle stuff. So I don't get out as much as I should, but that things will change. In the coming years or maybe months, there'll be different stuff happening. So we'll figure it all out.
Now, what is your ultimate goal for Cast Radio? Like, what do you want to do with it? What's the?
Oh, I'm gonna do what I was doing before with music that I have now. Catalogs and whatnot is I'm just gonna go out to the clubs, and I'm gonna find bands and hopefully see what happens. I mean, that's ultimately what you want to do, is give the more people the music. So if I see some band out somewhere that I think's good and they have a CD, I'll buy it or whatnot, and we'll talk about it, maybe interview, whatever, And I mean, I've done it with Kings of Washington and a few other bands that I really thought were good, and I played them all the time on my shows, so people would hear them, But that's basically it, You can't. Keep stagnant with the music. You gotta, there's a ton of stuff out there. Even if somebody thinks it's terrible, somebody put it together because they had passion about it or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, might as well get it out there.
And now, so what? I guess, are there any up and coming bands that you like besides? Like,
I have
some
not,
covers.
Yeah,
band
I haven't
or whatever?
even been in the. I haven't been for a
You
year.
haven't been paying attention on the
Nope,
internet or anything?
Not even. Nope.
No. So he's like a hermit, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, my phone's gone. My laptop is not on, and my computer's not even on, and it's sitting right over there. I'm just trying to take my time and get it right. So I mean, the radio in the box, just like this. I have all that stuff. You know, we were fixing to do it.
I don't know. I just beat you to it.
I know. I'm happy. I'm happy for it.
I appreciate it. I'm happy for you too. I want you back out there, dude.
Yeah. Well, I'll get back. There'll be a time when I'll get back out in the world and go clubbing again. So.
And obviously it's not going to be, in at the same Anaheim studio. The place is gone now, right?
Yeah.
So what happened to it?
Don't know. It disappeared. I don't know if it's still out there anywhere, but we took our website down because that belonged to us, Johnny and I, and Mindy. So the three of us that kept it together and put that stuff together, we shut it down.
Well, you said that they turned it into
Huh?
You said they turned it in. I don't mean to cut you off. You told me they turned it in like a bed and breakfast type thing.
Yeah. It was a Airbnb. I think the rooms were 30 something a night, and it was just a bed and a room. There was a kitchenette and a bathroom with a shower and another bathroom.
How can you get away with that?
Look, I don't know. Airbnb at a radio station. There was people on the air in the live booth, and there was couples arguing in the rooms in the hallway while the guy's on the air doing his radio show.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool, dude.
So it could have got real ugly,
Dude,
and everything in there single pane glass.
That's even better than our fucking smokescreen incident.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When the manager came in. Oh yeah.
That was so great, dude. You know what? Let's tell a couple funny.
Hated me.
A couple funny stories that we did, or I guess a couple of our favorite bands. What were some of your favorite bands to interview? At least on Metallifornia or Metal
Voices
Mayhem.
of Ruin a couple times.
Now, what did you like about Voices?
I don't know. Those guys are just, they're animals. They're, they're cool guys. They're just, and their music's good. I like their stuff, but they're just animals.
Fucking cool, dude.
Yeah. And, Morbid Hips, of course, because the show was the theatrics was the whole thing. So.
I don't know if that band's still doing anything anymore.
Don't know.
Zach's still painting, so.
Yeah. He was doing his painting thing, but, he gave me a lot of music that I'm going through, that I want to go through and whatnot. So there's a lot of things of that I want to do, and a lot of photos that I have that I'm going to print out and, fill up a hallway of stuff that I, accumulated over the years of doing it. But it's a little bit slow. We'll see. We'll see after October, November, maybe next year, somewhere in there. We'll see what happens. So.
I like it. Well, one of my favorite guests was definitely. Oh my god, I'm brain farting. The Warbringer guys. I thought that was a very interesting.
Warbringer dudes. I don't. You know what? You're gonna have to refresh me because there was so many.
We had John Keeble and Carlos. And
right.
He was talking about becoming a history teacher and he was getting married and
Yeah.
And this was right before the band almost imploded, but they didn't. So this was like at the cusp of we don't know what we're gonna do, and then they fucking blew doors open with their next record. But this was right before that happened. So that interview to me is very special.
Yeah,
because of that reason.
I kind of do vaguely remember that one.
And then obviously the first time that we ever did a Metallifornia episode, it was with Caton of Hyrax.
It was. I was just going to mention that because Johnny works over here at Smart and Final, the original drummer.
Right.
So it was such a really a trip when I saw Johnny, but before that, we're like, what the? And then we saw him at that Italian place in Long Beach.
Oh, Di Piazza's.
Di Piazza's, yeah. We saw a couple good bands in there. Yeah.
It's great, dude.
Yeah.
So many fun memories.
Good bands in there, yeah.
And obviously there's a lot, all of our shows, so what it is, so we won't not have a SoundCloud for Metallifornia anymore, but
Yeah.
I've archived all the shows.
Yeah, I have tons more to. Oh my
So
god!
I have,
tons more.
you have the rest of the stuff that I don't
do.
have. Yeah,
Yep, I do.
But I made sure to archive everything that was on that SoundCloud before
Nice.
before I'm cutting it off in November.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm going
Right
to do with
on.
it. I think I'm going to get a Spreaker account, and so I can just upload that stuff to the YouTubes and everything, because
Sure.
that's what it does for
Right,
you.
right.
It's basically what a SoundCloud does, except it offers more avenues, which I want.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll get it out there
But
sooner or later.
the point is, so I went back and re-listened to a couple of those episodes, and they're fucking funny, dude.
Yeah, we did have a great time, though. We did have a great time.
Yeah,
I mean, even though the little studios and whatever that room was or whatnot, we did have a good time with the people that came in.
the first time we had Ritual in, it
great.
was fucking hilarious,
Yeah.
dude. When they nicknamed you Benny Febreze.
Oh, that's right. Those bastards.
But
I do remember the son of a.
those are good times, though, man. I re-listened back, and I figured I would reach out, to you and
I'm glad you did, man. It's good seeing you again, and your dad, and
Pops
seeing
actually
people.
made
Yep.
it here a little bit.
That's awesome.
Before the broadcast. So,
Yep.
what you got? Last question, and we'll just cut this interview short.
Yeah, why not?
I wanted to give we
Let's
have
get some.
40 minutes, and we'll probably go grab something to eat after this. So I mean,
Absolutely.
the thing is I'm glad you're doing well. I haven't seen you in
Yeah, it's been a couple, because I didn't stop by the store. It's been a while. You know, so
it's been
a couple months. I know it's been months.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm talking like a conversation.
Oh, yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like
right,
this.
right.
Like we haven't been on the radio in
It's been a decade.
2 years, 3 years.
It could be.
And the Heretic guys. That was my last one that I wanted to mention.
Okay.
When Julian was fucking cussing up a storm.
Yep.
It was so good. So good.
Yeah. I do. I do. That's
Tons of great
funny.
times. Did I ever tell you I saw him at or soon after that at I think it was Maiden, and he was all he felt so bad for
Oh, yeah.
because of the storm.
That's right, because I told him, I go, we're getting fined. You keep dropping those bombs. Yeah.
Fucking great, dude.
It was.
But
it was
thanks,
fucking great.
Dave, thanks for giving me a couple minutes of your time and checking in with the fine folks
Well.
in internet land. And
Well,
I mean, your
appreciate
journey's
it.
really short, so it's not like I can
know.
elaborate too much.
It'll
on
be
it.
all right.
But
Everything's got to turn for the worse. It'll be all right.
I'm glad to hear that you're going to be doing something,
So,
and we'll expect it hopefully sooner rather than later.
We will, and then you and I will collaborate again and whatnot, and
I'd love to
go from
I'd
there.
love to come on the show and
Who knows?
hang
I
and
might buy a building. I might buy a boat and do it off a boat. I don't know.
fucking pirate radio, dude.
I don't know yet.
All right.
I'm just waiting for a few things to work themselves out.
Well, Mr. Benny the Breeze, always a pleasure. Always a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Absolutely.
And Poppitt's Corner episode, I'm out of here.
All right.
It's a very, very short
Peace out.
segment. And
It's all right,
but before we get out,
because I got to take some more pills.
I know. But before we get out of here, there's one thing I want
What's up?
you to do.
What's up?
Say the call letters. You ready?
The call letters.
That's right.
Yours or
we are smack dab in the middle of all of it, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We are right next to the House Mouse, built slap shot away from the Honda Center, home run hit away from Angel Stadium, and a concert sound away from the Grove of Anaheim.
Right.
We got it all. See, I had to do it without you. I wanted you to do it to hear it.
You wanted me to do it? Because, even with the cast radio, because we're casting our net far and wide, it's border to border and coast to coast. It's around the world. We're right here, smack dab in the middle of everything. Slap shot away from the Honda Center. Home run hit away from Angel Stadium, and a concert sound away from the Grove of Anaheim. But we're all over the place. Cast.
And we're out of this place. Ladies and gentlemen, cheers.
Peace.
All right, welcome to another edition of Razor fucking Radio.
Yeah.
I'm Andy fucking Ford.
Jason Tyler.
Dad Ross.
And Tanner Poppitt.
We're coming live from the Regal Inn.
That's right. We've
We got some excitement coming up too. We've already apparently had some, right?
Yeah. We will have interviews later on during the show. I got Steve from Sixes.
Going to join us?
Yep, and I got.
What about Mr. Caton W. DePena? He's in there, right?
No, we have not gotten Caton yet, so I would
Okay,
love
well,
to
we're gonna
interview
get
him.
his ass
Yeah,
out
we
here,
got to
don't worry.
get him out.
Yes.
We're gonna drag Caton out.
And we got the guys from Lazarus Casket and
Well, we've
Project
also
Human.
got
Well,
The birthday boy right over there.
I'm getting. He'll be coming up later too. We'll get some
we'll
more
get him on
interviews
there.
with
We
him.
got extra mics too. We can set up if we have to.
Yeah. So.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Thanks for having
Happy
us.
birthday,
Last
man.
minute.
You are listening to us on Radio Combat too,
Since
by
I
the
don't
way.
drink
listening to us
anymore, this
on
is
Razor
fun
Radio,
because
buddy.
But also on Radio Combat.
That's
'cause
right.
You guys being here gives me something productive to do besides just having my thumb up my ass.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know if you.
Smoke
I mean,
weed.
Besides doing sound and smoking
Smoke
weed
weed.
and not drinking and rocking out to all
Thumbs
the
are good.
bands.
Selling Girl Scout cookies again.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta
We
stay
bought some
busy.
last night. Those Thin Mints are already gone.
Hence the word ADHD.
they did it in
Doing
Superman 3.
20,000 things at once.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. It keeps you busy.
Yes. And
Keeps
out of
you young.
trouble.
Yeah, happy 6th year again
man.
to
Thank
ADHD
you. I
Entertainment
appreciate
and,
it.
and a happy
40.
birthday, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
40's a big deal, dude.
you. 21. I'm 21.
You lie like a fucking rug. Like a rug.
That's funny.
That's pretty good.
I got
That's
that
pretty
now.
good.
That's good.
That's pretty good.
I would say thanks to ADHD for everything that
Oh,
they
yeah,
do
oh,
for
yeah.
all these bands.
And we're going to be doing a
Thank you.
lot more with ADHD because, we no longer have a studio anymore, really.
That's
What are you
We're gonna be-
talking about, bitch? This is our fucking studio.
Yeah, what's
it's
for
an outdoor
tonight?
studio.
It's
This
always
is,
our
this is a
studio.
Regal. We have the studio that's called Grill 'em All. We have a studio called Malone.
That's right.
Next
There you
week,
Malone's.
we'll be at the studio we call the Slide Bar.
Yes.
Yes.
Siren Hex.
Siren Hex, Titan. It's their CD release
Yeah, I
show.
know.
And
Titan
Pat's
CD.
also in Master, so I think we're
Not
going
to
to have to
mention,
talk to him about that.
Love the Pat.
Not to
guy.
mention Bellamar from Nova Rain's going to give us a studio update on their pre-production.
That's
Wait,
for their
awesome.
album.
what's his name?
Bellamar?
Balmar.
Ballamar. I always,
Balamar. I like
I
that
call
one.
him
I'll
Bell.
start calling him Balamar.
he sounds like something for Battlestar Galactica.
Well,
Yeah.
on the
Great.
bill. Darkholt will kick things
And
off
I
at Slide
think,
Bar.
some
And
guy-
Angel Sinestro.
Some guy from the desert's going to join us too.
Oh, I wonder who that guy
Who's
is.
this?
Adam Albright.
The legendary Adam from
Dope
fucking
Sick.
Dope Sick and
that's right.
and Skin Lab.
You told me
and,
about this last night.
Yes.
See, I remember stuff when I don't drink.
As a matter of fact,
Kind of.
and we found out one of the Siren Hex girls is really excited because she has one of his signature guitars.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Adam Albright.
last night we had a punk rock birthday here.
Yes, it was
and-
fun. Psychotic Scum killed it.
Yes, they did. And one of the members of Psychotic Scum's also in Siren Hex.
Bass player.
Oh, okay. There
Yeah.
you go. It's a one big happy fucking family. So.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, they were so good. They switched fucking instruments with keeping the drum beat in time.
Yeah.
And
They
the other
switched
chick
bass player to a
sang and
guitar
the other
player,
one
yeah.
jumped on the guitar.
And
it
they-
was fucking amazing.
And they closed with SOD's Kill Yourself.
Yes.
You can never go
Speaking
wrong when
of
you play that
that,
song.
we have an SOD tribute band here on May 11th here at the Regal Inn.
What are they called?
Soldiers of Death.
All right, Soldiers of Death. I'm down.
Yeah.
I could get up and
wanted to
sing
bring
songs
that
with
up.
them.
Yeah, there you go.
Kill yourself, kill yourself. Why don't you kill yourself? Don't rely on no one else. Edit it off. Kill yourself now.
Dude, Pop's dad drops right here is wearing an Exodus jersey, and I was hoping that Andy Ford would have brought his.
If you'd have mentioned it, I would have.
I didn't know he had one. He just pulled it on. He's like, "Here, I got this." I'm like, "Oh,
That's
okay.
fucking awesome, dude. It's got the same Puck thing that's on mine, bonded by Puck.
Yeah. It's puck hockey.
is there a number on the back? Oh, 79, toxic. I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
I think 79
Oh, we know that fucker.
There you go. There's a handshake for you.
Yeah.
Real quick, what should we call it? What is coming up as far as ADHD shows go? Besides,
Well, I know you just booked Bleed the Sky. We talked to Noah today. He's pretty stoked about that.
We're working on a Bleed the Sky
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Over there at Malone's, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've given him we've given him the 2 cents with. Oh, book with Jason for sure. All right. And what else we got?
I don't know. Jason's
Itching something.
itching for something.
What are you itching?
You okay?
What was that?
Whoa.
He's hitting 40 and he just spaced out.
Good?
Are you okay?
Okay.
All right, what else we got coming ADHD wise?
Sorry. Holy shit.
I mean, sorry.
I don't know what
I think Jason needs to sit down. for a
Let's
minute.
get into some tunes right now.
Need some water.
Yeah, let's
Sorry.
let's
I spaced out. That was weird. Blacked out.
let's get him some water
Yeah,
here.
drink some water real quick, and let's get into some tunes real quick.
Yeah,
Tanner,
let's,
play something fun.
Yeah, let's do some SOD here. You're listening into Razor Radio, and this
On
is
the Razor
Speak.
Radio Network.
This is from Speak English or Die. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Poppitt's Corner. thoroughly excited to be back. We are broadcasting right now out of the San Diego Metal Swap Meet. And, of course, we have Mr. Sean Peck here. How you doing, Sean?
I need
Thanks
to do a
again
metal
for-
swap meet song. Metal swap meet! Yeah! Something like that. We need a metal swap meet little
Jingle?
jingle.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't we?
I think so.
Was
be a
that
good
it?
Very fitting.
That was it right
That's
there.
the first one. That's the version A.
Version A.
Good to be on your show, man.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Thanks for
Thanks
coming
having
on
me.
and stopping by and hanging out. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Moment of your time
absolutely.
here. So let's get right off the bat with what you got coming up. So I'd like to know, because you're always up to something every fucking day, it seems.
Yeah.
We are in, I guess, a Pecktober kind of month here. So what is going on in
Well,
your
for
world?
people that don't know, the term Pecktober originated from when I put out 3 albums in 1 month. And it was like not planned, but it was like 3 different labels, and they're all like crammed into 3 Tremors album, the Denner Sherman album, that was Metal Blade, and then the Cage album all in the same month. And we're like, what the fuck is this smart? And then we just branded it Pecktober, and like everybody bought them. And we're like, fuck yeah, Pecktober.
It's quite a
And
pace.
so every time October comes up, people are like, are you releasing 3 albums this month? I'm like, no, not this time.
You set the bar, man.
Right.
That's your
We
fault.
set it pretty high. So yeah, there's always something brewing. I mean, now that when I first was started in the metal world, I was in one band, and one band, did what it took to scratch my metal itch. And now I'm like a band, I'm like a band whore. I'm like a whore now, where it's like singing this band, singing that band. So we got Cage. Cage hasn't put out an album since 2014, but we have a new album coming out next year. And people are really excited about that because it's, we haven't done one in so long. And that, we probably have like 20 songs done for it already. But I'm just like, I'm always like, is it good enough, And, it's like the Death Clock episode, like, don't erase the album, episode where he keeps
Keeps
trashing
erasing
the
it.
album. And I'm like, it's good, but is it, So I think I personally want to write probably like 4 or 5 more slammers just to make sure that it's up to the Cage standards.
Now, with obviously your expertise and experience when it comes to making record after record after record and experiencing label after label after label, I'm generally curious, do you find yourself liking to work with labels more so compared to doing it all yourself? What are some of the benefits, with where you're at in your specific career? I mean,
That
done
is,
a lot.
I'm in a bit of a transition period right now. No, I have the label Steel Cartel, which I usually put all my stuff out on, which is cool because, we run shit tons of print ads in all the European magazines, and we hire the top publicists and shit that you would never get, from a regular label if you were just doing it through a regular label. It's a lot of work, and so now I'm kind of like looking at the albums I have coming up, going, do I want to do all the work for this one, or do I want to let someone else handle it? And it's cool because we put together a lot of insane bundle pre-order packages with lots of physical. I mean, we were the kings of the physical medium because we had, socks, fucking lenticular shit, posters. I'm running out of merch ideas because we've done everything. pretty much.
Lunchbox.
Lunchboxes would be cool, actually. I haven't done the lunchboxes yet, but that's a good idea. Your dad's full of fucking great ideas, man. This guy knows what's going on.
absolutely.
And so, when we get quite a bit of pre-order money from those, gotta have it all packages, and so, but one of the things that's come into play, that's been a big pain in the ass is, fucking getting vinyls made is impossible. We're still trying to get the last 3 Tremors album vinyl made. And it's like companies now just go like, we will not take your order, period. Like,
Because
because of supply chain and the vinyl, it's like it's 8 to 15 months to get a vinyl album made right now.
That's due to materialistic wise?
Materials, raw materials, and the amount of orders that there are. So we were using a Canadian company, a big company, and they're garbage. I hate Canada. I think we should invade Canada. I don't think they're worthy to stand on their own. I think we have taken a soft approach to Canada for far too long, and it's reflected in their business practices.
is their product bad?
The product's bad. It's expensive hell to ship out of Canada. They have to have everything has to say "Made in Canada" on the wrappers and shit. So Canada, I hate you, but I don't want to get on a Canada tangent here. And I live in Alaska. I'm from 10 years in Alaska, so I'm from the Great White North. You know.
So what are some of the benefits to working with a label again at this place and time in your specific career?
You just don't have to, you just fire and forget kind of thing. But that's going to be hard for me to do since I'm such a micromanager and you really want to push it and you're fired up for it. But so we have a Cage album coming out. We have a new Death Dealer album coming out. We just did Death Dealer's a band I'm in with Ross the Boss, Stu Marshall he's a famous guitar player in Australia. Mike LaPond is in the band now from Symphony X. And the drummer Steve Bolognese, who was in Witherfall, and he was in Into Eternity, and Ross the Boss Band.
Right, so you're always constantly working with like top tier musicians.
Well, we record like during the pandemic. Like the Stu Marshall, the Death Dealer guy, is like writes 10 riffs a day kind of guy. So it's just an endless amount of material, and so we literally already recorded I think I did 90 songs recorded in a year.
Wow.
We just kept blasting it. So Death Dealer has 2.5 to 3 albums already done. The next album that's done for Death Dealer, and I'll show you the artwork offline. It's really killer. That's, everyone's like, dude, it's our best album yet. This one is the best one. I'm always the opposite. I'm always the guy like I don't know, man. That last album was pretty good. But this Death Dealer album could be the best one. It's just the songs that came out really good. Yeah. So we just put out an EP for Death Dealer, which the label was like, oh man, the publicist, I should say. So we got to put out an EP. I've never done an EP. I'm not really a big fan of EPs, but I'm like, all right. So we actually took 4 songs off the 5th album. So the 4th album is the new one that's going to come out. We already had the 5th album ready to go. So we took 4 songs off that and made that an EP. And the EP is just crushing. It's a Mad Max thing called Fuel Injected Suicide Machine, and the video came out really good. We have a song that we wrote called Blood for Gasoline. We didn't know it was going to be a documentary song when we wrote it, but now the way gas prices are, it kind of became a narrative on what's going on. So we did the EP. Yeah. And the 4th Death Dealer album coming out is fantastic. We're really excited about that.
Now, how do you plan your time accordingly with all these different projects? Because you're one man, so it's obviously you're not mixing this stuff. You're just generally singing,
tracking the vocals,
tracking it, sending it.
Yeah,
and that's all you can do, really. But
if there's a certain urgency for something, you're like, oh, I got to bust this out. But if it's just what I'm feeling at the time, what's up, man? What I'm feeling at the time, then I will just go. Dude, I want to jam on this right now. We did a couple covers for Death Dealer. We did Unchain the Night by Dokken, and it came out killer, dude. I'm proud of that one. And then we did Holy Diver. What the fuck is it? Rainbow in the Dark? Holy Diver? Fuck, I can't even remember which one it is. Rainbow in the Dark, maybe. Anyway, so we did, and then I even did a cover of Eddie Murphy's My Girl Wants to Party All the Time.
That's
and
awesome.
It's fucking amazing. If you guys are listening to this, go to YouTube, look up Sean Peck Party All the Time. Because I do Rick James' voice. I do all the voices. It's fucking great. Anyways.
That's good. How do you delegate who's going to do each of the tasks when it comes to each of your records? Because you're doing a lot of records. So that blows my mind.
Me and Stu, the guitar player, write most of the stuff for Death Dealer. So just me and him, and we're Skyping, and he'll sit there on the guitar and go, "What about this, mate?" And he's so quick on the. I go, "Oh, that's sick," and then he'll just lay it down in 2 seconds, and I'll have a piece. It's great. And then the Cage guys, Cage has an advantage because we all live here in San Diego. So a lot of these bands are all internet bands, but we're a band that's in the room together, jamming, old school, and you can write a lot of cool songs organically when you just come up with something on the fly. So that's kind of cool for the Cage thing. And then the Three Tremors is a Cage thing too. We write all the songs for the Three Tremors. If you're listening, the Three Tremors is me, Ripper Owens, and Harry Conklin from Jag Panzer, where we all 3 sing at the same time. We have 2 albums for that. So even though, like I was saying, Cage hasn't done an album since 2014.
Yeah.
We have done 2 3 Tremors albums, which are basically Cage albums with 2 other dudes singing.
Right, and you've done 50 other albums, with this project and
Dennis
this project.
Sherman,
Yes.
and yeah. So now, before I get into some breaking news, where you want to continue on that thread, that thought?
Well, I'm just curious who you get to mix these and master these, because again, you're doing so many different albums. It's like that's like for one, it's expensive.
Yeah, there's got to be a grand master. I'm like, oh, get that. I'm the guy pushing the buttons and like, hey, dude, you need to get the drums done on this track, and so I'm orchestrating, a lot of it, and I'm the guy that gets the artwork. It's a lot of work, but it's cool. The creative process, man. When you unbox that package and you get the first CD and you're like, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
But by that time you've listened to all the songs 1,000 times and you're fucking sick of it and you're like, fuck this album. Yeah.
It's true.
Everyone else is pumped on it though.
Yeah, it's true, man. Now, when are we going to see you guys actually play at the San Diego Metal Swap Meet?
Well, we played one. I don't remember how many years ago, and when it was at Queen Bee's, the inside place. And dude, the PA kept blowing.
Is that the place we were talking about?
Yeah, it's like really confined and small, and
but it was a cool stage.
Yeah.
It was a cool stage, and the PA just kept blowing out. So I'm like, oh, dude, we're too much for this fucking place. We are too metal for this fucking metal swap meet. And I mean, that wasn't me just calling it out. That was just the facts, because the PA just kept blowing out, and I was like, God damn it! I was literally up there just stand-up comedian style for like an hour, like trying my best material, like. Mike Tyson said the best punch he ever threw was at Robin Givens, his wife. That's what he said. That's a true story. That kind of stuff, that kind of material.
It's fucking awesome.
All right, I'm ready for it.
I am. I'm ready. Like, I think it's obviously long overdue. Maybe get a 3 Tremors or something at the.
Yeah, dude. Another thing we're doing right now with the Cage stuff is. So Cage is the backing band for Ripper Owens. We're doing some solo shows with him where Cage is going to open, and then the guys are going to stay on with Ripper, and then he gets up and plays his set. We're doing L.A., Seattle, Anchorage, Alaska. Actually, we're going to Alaska to play, which I used to live in Alaska, and so I'm in there like rehearsing with them all the time, and so we know all these Priest songs. So we're going to be doing Caged Priest. So it's kind of like a tribute band, but we're also going to do like songs from Fight, songs from Halford Solo, songs from. We're not going to do any 2 songs.
Halford stuff would be good. What from? Can you share?
Resurrection.
Can you hit those?
No
No pressure on that.
He just gave us a full concert on the show.
That's all right.
And Halford they play the recording when he does that. I'm like, fuck that. I'm gonna sing that shit. I'm gonna come out and
I'd love to fucking see that live.
Yeah. So no one's playing those songs. We're like, that'd be fun instead of just another Judas Priest tribute band. Like fucking throw in. And then we're gonna do Scream Machine from Beyond Fear. We love playing that one live. We opened for Hammerfall and we opened the set with that song. And Hammerfall was like, looking at us like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's right, bitch. This is how it's going down tonight. Fucking
keep up with this.
Yeah.
Right.
Good luck.
Now, is there a specific style in your career that you have not done yet that you would like to?
Well, there's a bunch of, I'm with these badass metal bands, and every time I bring up a love song or sex, they're like, dude, we can't do that. So I'm like, dude, half the Judas Priest songs are sex, love, blah, blah, blah. Van Halen, every song is. Every Dawkins song, every Rat song.
Kiss.
Like, we can't get one of these fucking things in here because I want to write some goddamn sexual innuendos. and I tried my hand at it, and I realized I'm fucking great at writing. You want me to give you a little sample of some magic?
Let's get it.
This is going to break.
Sure.
Okay. I like to party almost every night. So if you bring your girlfriend, I will treat her right. So come on, be my genie, baby, grant my wish. The 3 of us together makes a tasty dish. Boom! Mic drop.
It sounds like a 3 Tremors song.
You know what I'm saying? That's like magic, right? The 3 of us together makes a tasty dish.
Yeah, that's a 3 Tremors song, isn't it?
I like it.
Bad joke.
So
anyway.
I have a bunch of like hard rock, cool songs like that with nowhere to go. So I'm thinking about doing a fake band where I get like like 5 18-year-old dudes with long hair that like look great and pretend like that's the band, and like just to put a picture of them on the cover, and then call the album like Hot Nights in the Streets or something like that, and then put those songs out. So that is, I'm seriously considering or a picture of me like on a throne with like 100 fucking strippers like hanging all over me.
With fire and
Yeah,
cars,
all that
yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Dragons
gotta have
and
that,
shit.
Fire out of trash cans.
Got it. Warehouse, dirt, all that shit. Now, walk me through what the breaking news or whatever. Have you gotten to it? Did I miss
Well,
that
I mean,
part?
Michael Denner, the guitar player of Merciful Fate, he kind of broke this a little bit. So, Michael Denner's not playing with Merciful Fate. And I was in the band Denner Sherman with Hank Sherman and Michael Denner. Did 2 great albums on Metal Blade Records that were like, people were like, dude, this is Merciful Fate. This is amazing. Except the singer. Like, the singer, can you release an instrumental version of this album? The singer's fucking horrible. That was so funny. I got a lot of that because, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not King Diamond. And, like, I can sing like King Diamond, but these guys don't want me to sing like that on these records. Like, I was forbidden of doing any of that shit. So, me and Pete Black, the guitar player from King Diamond in the heyday, them, Conspiracy, The Eye, back, the mainline guy, and Michael Denner, and Hal Patino of a King Diamond bass player,
yes.
and a drummer that will go unnamed right now. That I cannot reveal that information.
Sure.
But we've got like 5 songs together already, and it's so King Diamond-y. It's like crazy. I could let you hear some stuff too.
Yeah.
It's Pete Black is just writing these riffs, and it just sounds like Abigail and them, and it's just crazy. And so then I came in, and he's flown out here a bunch of times. We've recorded out here in San Diego. He's done some recording in Andy LaRoque's studio. I'm like, dude, don't let fucking Andy LaRoque hear this shit. What do you think? But he's like best friends with Andy, and so of course. And then I go online and make fun of King Diamond all the time. I don't know if you've seen any of my videos.
So you got a lot of projects, obviously, in the works.
Yeah.
Now, where's the best place? I want to thank you for coming on and giving me a few minutes of your time to do this with me.
Right on.
Where is the best place for people to support everything Sean Peck?
Oh, man. SteelCartel.com. SteelCartel.com has a lot of links to the different, websites. But you can go to all the, Facebook pages and Instagram. Most of the band stuff's on Facebook. Instagram's where I do all my comic book stuff. And also, if you like comic books, hit me up on Hell Destroyer Comics on Instagram. Hell Destroyer Comics. I'm a comic freak right now. Like comics has been taking all my heavy metal time lately. So.
And I love what you're doing with Death Deal, where you're only putting 3 songs on Spotify, so you got to go buy the album. I love that whole.
That's
concept.
a whole nother
it's a whole other issue. Other
if you want to see the new Black Adam movie, and you don't want to go buy a ticket at the movie theater, you got to wait 6 months to watch it on HBO.
That's right.
That's how it works, and that's the way music should work too.
That's right. Well, Mr. Sean Peck, pleasure.
We're shaking hands.
Pleasure.
We just shake hands.
Yes, sir. And
good to meet you, buddy.
Same here, man.
Thanks
Go
again
Padres.
for
Go
coming
Padres
on.
tonight. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming
Let's
on.
make some dreams come true.
And let's get you back on relatively soon, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you soon.
Another episode of Poppitt's Corner, guys. We're out of here. Cheers. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Poppitt's Corner. And I'm super excited to discuss this specific topic. This gentleman that I've brought on to help me out with this, Mr. Christopher Atomic Thrasher from the mighty Insinnerator. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, I brought you on here because me and Shannon originally, and hopefully he'll join us in relatively soon, but we had this kind of discussion of like, you know what, maybe we should talk about a form that was
water bottle
that was kind of heavily popular back in when we were kind of like jump starting our career, and I'll go ahead and show the picture up, the Thrash Unlimited form, and there's probably the only. Do you remember? I'm sure you remember this photo here.
Yeah, that really takes me back. I don't know how you got a hold of that, but like seeing that is very like wow, I just got like a warm feeling in my chest.
Right, but it was so. Why don't we kind of educate the masses here and just give a little history lesson on Thrash Unlimited, and I want to know from your perspective on it, because again, I don't know a lot about Thrash Unlimited other than like kind of when I discovered it. And but for you, when did you discover it? And kind of can you educate me on like kind of the basis of Thrash Unlimited was?
So I remember seeing that image you just showed. So, and if Fuel by Fire put out their record, the re-release of Spread the Fire in 2008, it had to be around 2008. And I know it was around 2008 as well, because Lich King was promoting, and I'll get into this, like they were really writing for their second album, Toxic Zombie Onslaught. So I guess we have to, take that step back into the time machine. This was before, as far as I know, I didn't know of anything like a Reddit, and really before Facebook made us so close to each other. All of the bands had their MySpaces, of course, and we could put our 4 songs on the little music player and such. And that was always a good place to showcase your music. But I felt like there was always something missing for the actual discussion of thrash. Like, we didn't have anywhere to really go to promote it other than putting it just on the page with the player. So Edward Duke, and I only know this other guy's handle on Thrash Unlimited, which was Karoshiga, I think that was his name. They started Thrash Unlimited so that I think especially anyone could discuss the days in the 80s, but that the new bands would have a place to go to discuss their new music and be able to promote their music and like have their own forums to be able to update people on news that may get overlooked if like you just were trying to post a blog on MySpace. It was more of just trying to bring that whole MySpace community together in a singular area to be able to discuss thrash rather than just, being able to post your music.
Now, I just got to ask you this too, because was it kind of hard for you to kind of get your own page set up on these forums, because there's obviously you have moderators and whatnot, and I mean, what is the criteria to get your own fucking page on this Thrash Unlimited forum?
That's actually an interesting question, and Insinnerator had ours. And if I had to guess, we were still doing demos. It was 2008, so we had our terrible Possessed demo, which was instrumental and just terribly recorded and everything. And for whatever reason, and this is a very interesting thing, Tom Martin of Lich King, the most critical person on earth of not only everything in the world, but of me, to this day, said, like, you guys had something. Even as terrible as it was, you guys had, like, the energy, or there was, like, a passion there that could be felt. Even though it wasn't recorded and played well, there was this passion that you guys had. And I guess Edward Duke, the admin of Thrash Unlimited, felt the same way. Because I feel like I just emailed him. I feel like I emailed him tracks, because Thrash Unlimited also had like an online radio. It wasn't just a forum. There was Thrash Unlimited radio. And I think I sent him those demo tracks and asked him, could we be in rotation for Thrash Unlimited radio? And he got back saying, heck yeah, you guys have energy. You guys have passion. Let me make you guys your own forum too. And there were only a certain select bands that had forums. And I think maybe I just asked at the right time, right place, right time type thing. And I also know that like when, and we can, this is a little further down the line, we can get into this, but Esther, Fuel by Fire's manager, started doing stuff with Thrash Unlimited to promote Thrasher de Mayo. So like any band that was on Thrasher de Mayo would start getting their own forum too. Did you guys get one through the Thrasher de Mayo?
No.
Okay.
Never. So Unfortunately, no. But
maybe it
at the
was
same
gone
time,
at that point. Maybe Thrash Unlimited had already been
yeah,
defunct by that time that you guys were on.
yeah, or just like kind of waning off of it because the whole craze kind of. I guess it's Thrash has never died, but that specific community kind of, went on the decline in like 2012. I want to say
Yes,
2012,
yes.
2013. So, yeah, never got to have our own form, but at the same time too, it's kind of a double edged sword because it's like it's also kind of cool that we didn't because we weren't lumped into that genre.
Yeah, you guys have always kind of.
So we've always been on the outskirts of that specific genre, but focusing on the Thrash Limited and with you guys and whatnot, like, so once you get, I guess, your own page, like, what are the benefits to this? Minus being seen to like a whole new audience. I mean, and from my recollection, there were a lot of these bands that had their own forums on this particular website. So I don't know if you guys saw any results of that.
I feel like it was a way. Tom's like my freaking dad. Tom of Lich King always described MySpace as a way to bring in fans, and Thrash Unlimited and Facebook as a way to keep your fans, to really interact with them. So I feel like the benefit of having our forum one benefit was that's where like people would really come over to interact with us. It felt more, again, this was an odd transitional period between MySpace and Facebook. So having this kind of place where we could be kind of more one-on-one with audience who may have a question, who may want to buy some merch or something, it was a nice place to be able to post a link, thrashunlimited.com/incinerator. Boom, there you are. You can post whatever you'd like. Another benefit we had is the business side of the music I've just recently started getting a little better at. At the time, just funds being tight, being, a teenager when we were doing our first album, I didn't have enough money for like even the lyric pages in the booklet. I just had the bare minimum to make a booklet. So to have that form is where we first posted the lyrics to Stalagmite of Ice. And we could redirect people there. Hey, if there's lyrics you want to know, here they are on our forum. And that luckily got copied to other websites that are probably more appropriate for lyrics. But things like that, I was able to kind of use that for a beneficial thing to help include something that I wasn't able to put on the physical release of Stalagmite of Ice. I know that I brought up, I think I found Thrash Unlimited in 2008 through Lich King, and they were promoting, or I'd say promoting, they were more like writing Toxic Zombie Onslaught. And Tom would post like song by song stuff. I remember Attack of the Wrath of the, whatever that one is. I remember that one, like a demo version of that, and Office Politics. And I think especially for like Tom, he was able to get direct feedback rather than, I think even before putting it up on MySpace, he would be able to share it with Thrash Unlimited, get feedback, and then knowing Tom, there may not have been things he had changed, but he would have been able to know what people liked, what people didn't like. So when he was writing new stuff, he would be able to make any adjustments that like really hit well with the audience.
So he had this instant kind of, I don't know, not reaction, but this instant kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Feedback.
Yes.
On his own kind of stuff that he could, and I'm sure it's not just him. I'm sure a lot of people did this too and whatnot. And but going off of this, I mean, what would be some of the negatives to being on a site like Thrash Unlimited? Or, I mean, are there negatives of it?
I think for me, we in 2021, when you say like, oh yeah, that's the internet, and that kind of like person that will just kind of relentlessly tear you down and such, that was present on Thrash Unlimited too. If you posted something, or you had an opinion that was not of everyone else's, you risked being torn down. And that's just the nature of the internet. But I think for, like 17-year-old me, it was like, oh, this great big awakening that, wow, people are really mean when you're trying to gung-ho, present your art. People can be really mean. And I do just remember a lot of fights, and just a lot of people, as much as they came, and I think as much as Thrash Unlimited was made to help the young generation of bands like us, that the people that still exist in metal today that don't want to let go of 1985, man, they will let you know they do not want to let go of 1985, and they won't tell you why. Like, I'm sorry if this answer is a little wordy. It's just like when we were all starting out, I'll at least admit it. I wasn't trying to like imitate my heroes, but that's who I was learning from. So there may be some similarities in early, compositions to other bands that I was just kind of learning how to riff and such. And like, they would tear you down and be like, well, that sounds like Slayer. And it's like, well, what do you want it to sound like? Like Slayer. And it's like, well, what the, but they still, like, those kind of metalheads that don't want to move out of 1985 still exist now. But I'm sorry, that was a very wordy way to say that. Yeah, people could be real assholes on there.
Well, but the problem with this whole thing is like they want a certain style, but when you give it to them, they don't want it.
Yeah.
So
I wish a band sounded like Slayer, and then you come write riffs like Slayer, and then they're like, that sounds like Slayer. It's like, wait, what? Like, I'm stuck in this no man's land. I play something that you really don't want to hear and that I don't feel or whatever, or I play what I like and what you want to hear and what I feel and what I'm passionate about, but you still don't like it. So it's just kind of this middle no man's land of, I don't know which way to go, but I guess I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah, there's just negative people all around.
Of course, you have to focus on the positives and whatnot. And who were some of the bands you discovered from this Thrash Unlimited at first?
I want to say, so I knew a lot of the LA bands when I got into the new wave of thrash. Just being younger than like the Merciless Deaths and the Fueled by Fires. Like I found Merciless Death in a Revolve. That's the first new wave of thrash album I ever heard in my life, and still just so good, so passionate. And that one too, yeah, at the same time. I think they had already had, or they were getting ready to do the Metal Blade release. I know Gio was still in Fueled by Fire at least. The Revolver magazine had a little blurb on Merciless Death. I mean, like maybe 2 sentences, but it started with 3 kids possessed with a capital P. And as a big Possessed fan, I was like, oh, got to check these guys out. So I went on MySpace and heard Exhumer was the first song I heard. And it blew me away. And then everyone had their top 8. And so Fueled by Fire and Violator and Hatchet and Warbringer. So it sans Violator in that sentence. I also like Execution and Sacrifice or Tyrant. I was really familiar with the LA stuff. So Thrash Unlimited helped me learn more about the stuff outside of LA. I got really familiar and friendly with Lich King on there. That's where I first heard of Diamond Plate and Vindicator. And there was a band in Florida, Great Awakening, that I hadn't heard until that time. And even like some stuff outside of the US. Pitiful Rain was one, and they're from the UK. I want to say, I can't remember if a band called Temple of Blood is from, I think they're from the US, but they were another non-LA band that I don't think I would have immediately known, because so many of the LA bands top 8 understandably were other LA bands. So Thrash Unlimited kind of opened my eyes to how not only national that the new wave of thrash had become, but how global it was becoming. There were bands in Australia and Asia that I would have had no clue existed if I hadn't been able to find that hub of everyone coming together to be able to promote their music.
Absolutely. And I mean, you wouldn't been able to like discover that, this just goes beyond my little area.
Yes, yes, and like it was interesting to see like people be like different representatives of their area. It's like, okay, if you need to find out more about the Boston area, you reach out to Lich King, and at the time, Diamond Plate was in Chicago, and obviously, well, you have your pick of the LA bands, but San Francisco, you could talk to Hatchet, and they may know other bands like Blessed Curse now and Fog of War.
Yeah, and you had Vector from Arizona.
Right?
You had Meltdown, aka who turned into Mantic Ritual from Pennsylvania,
from Pittsburgh, and even
Pittsburgh,
like Avenger of Blood after they moved to Las Vegas. It was like, okay, if anyone needs anything Las Vegas, Avenger of Blood would be the band to talk to. Because they're originally from San Francisco, right? And then they moved to Las Vegas.
I believe so. I know Shannon is. I know Shannon. Some of his history was in the Bay Area, and then he went to obviously, yeah. But so discover, yeah. And I think you make a great point though, and you can, when you're hit the road and whatnot, it was probably easier to make connections that way, where it's like, hey, we're coming to your town. Would you mind playing with us, or giving us a good hookup on a promoter and whatnot?
Yes, there was actually a map that I think Tom started of all the thrash bands, and like I think it was a public map. So if you were in a band, you could put a pin on where you are. So when other bands toured the U.S., you could just go. And I mean, that map was full in like 2011 of other bands that and it actually helped. I know when we went on tour for Slag My Device, we looked at that map and was like, okay, this band's in Tennessee, this band's in West Virginia, this one's in North Carolina. Bands that we may not have known otherwise, or we wouldn't have known who to contact promoter-wise, venue-wise, band-wise. It was an incredible community at that time of everyone having the goal of just wanting to make the best music possible and get it out to the widest audience.
And is that what's kind of missing within our own community, as far as like having that specific kind of close-knit, I guess, community to helping each other out, rather than, because again, I get that you mentioned people get stuck in 1985, and that'll always happen, right? But I mean, it seemed like back during the late 2000s, we had a closer knit community of younger musicians and younger bands just working together.
Yes.
Maybe, I mean, obviously we still do, but it seemed like at that specific moment, it was like us versus the world.
Yes.
Mentality.
That's a perfect way to put it. And I do think, like, obviously we're here together talking about this, and I would do anything for you, to help you in any way I can. And there are so many other musicians like that. There's a band in Canada named Deatherus that's recently been helping us out with some things, and helping us get some opportunities. And but like, I feel like Facebook groups could have been a great evolution of something like Thrash Unlimited, but of all the Facebook groups that I'm in that involve thrash or death metal, what have you, they are stuck in 1985. There is no promotion for new, and if a new band tries to promote, it is just buried by, hey, did you know Kirk Hammett played in Exodus in 1981 for the billionth time? Like, and if you really are a 13-year-old getting into this, I can understand that may blow your mind. But like, when you see it's a guy who's 58, and it's like, yeah, man, like, yeah, sure. Can we talk about this new record from Laceration now? But
yeah, but good. You make a good point here, and I think the benefit to having Thrash Unlimited not on, maybe they were on MySpace back in the day. Let's just say they were. I don't know. I think a benefit to having Thrash Unlimited, their website, because it wasn't MySpace. It wasn't like, and so it's not, there's not like a million fucking forms or whatever. It's like strictly thrashunlimited.com if you want all this kind of news. And on Facebook, it's so cluttered, and you have all these notifications of people, just infiltrating you on 50,000 fucking groups and whatnot. It's like, it's all nonsense. But because we had this hub of like that people would actually kind of seek out to go to, I think that was a huge benefit. And it's severely lacking in music in general, dude. Like having a fucking hub that's not big tech social media bullshit.
Yes, and like I said, like I feel like Thrash Unlimited, there was an inherent understanding that, like, yes, we can discuss, Exodus demo in 1980 or something, but there was this inherent understanding that the main purpose of this is to discuss new music going forward with the next generation of bands that were still here now that are wanting to take the torch and run forward. I remember Gary Holt came by maybe one time on Thrash Unlimited, and it was fun and it was great. But like, even he was, I think, in his post, like, mad support to the new band. Shout out to Lich King and Fueled by Fire, or whoever he shouted out. Bonded by Blood probably was one of them. And even he got in that one post. I'm sure he lurked for a while that, this is a place kind of for new bands to promote their music and move forward. Because even then, after Exodus had come back and Testament had come back after their long hiatuses, the new bands were all grinding and self-releasing demos and doing splits with each other, just trying to get ahead. And I kind of lost my train of thought, but just like, everyone understood that a hub like Thrash Unlimited was for bands formed after 2004 to promote their music and move forward.
Absolutely. And what do you think changed though? Like, why don't we have something like that nowadays?
That it's a good question, because you would think that Facebook groups would just be the continuation of that. And the same audience that could have been on Thrash Unlimited could be in a Facebook group. It's open to anyone. If you have a computer, you had access to both. I don't know what happened after like 2013 that we reverted back to like not caring. If this wasn't released in 1992, I don't care. I'm not really sure what happened at some point to kind of change that attitude. I mean, no one can handle when they were born or when they're releasing music, or no one can control that. So I'm kind of at a loss for an answer of that, of why that has changed now. And it's almost like sans a few bands that just get hyped because that other new bands are just held down, and we're just kind of, and I mean no disrespect, because everyone's allowed to make a living wage, and the 80s generation and us should be able to make the same living wage doing the same thing. But here we are getting the same Exodus, Testament, Death Angel tour package, playing the same songs from 1985 and 1987. And, it's crazy that it seems like we've reverted back to that. And I don't know if maybe people understand. I'm so sorry, this is a long answer.
No, not at all, man.
I don't understand. Maybe people are realizing, I think by 2030, maybe some bands will really start having to consider hanging it up from the 80s and 90s. And maybe people kind of want to get that one last hurrah in and be excited about it. But you're not. I'm telling you, if you're buying a ticket to see Death Angel in 1987 in 2021, and Death Angel has a lot of energy, you're not seeing Death Angel in 1987.
Well, let's go to a good example of a band that's kind of lost a lot, at least in my opinion. This is just my opinion, so I'm just going to throw it out there. I feel one of the last times I saw Megadeth, it wasn't very good in my opinion.
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
but people will still pay to see that shit. And it blows my mind just because I've seen them so many goddamn times where it's like, I've done it. Like, I don't need to fucking do that anymore. And maybe because there are people that they just like the brand, and obviously it's band versus brand kind of thing, which kind of
Sure.
sucks that like us bands may never get the opportunity to establish our brand, right? It's going to take us fucking 40 years in order to do that. And most of us won't be here to see that through. So,
Right.
you know, the 80s bands had outlets like MTV and this, that, and the other. And yeah, we got, you know, YouTube and Facebook and, but so does everybody else. You know, you didn't have a guy like that was like doing quality control, as I call it. So you have an over influx of fucking bands and you don't even know what's good. Like, people need to be spoon fed on what's good. That's just why people like radio and Sirius and whatnot. And obviously, you know, heavy metal television is kind of, I hope that becomes the new thing where it's like you're being force fed to watch these killer bands videos that aren't, you know, say all Exodus videos or Testament, or, you know, you're watching, you know, Madrost or Insinnerator or Tormentor or Warbringer, all those kind of bands, you know, that's what I want to see. And even new bands, you know, Power Trip and I guess Onto Others, aka Idle Hands, like those are new bands that are like doing something worthwhile.
Yes. Yeah, and like it's such an interesting notion when Megadeth and all those bands were kind of up and coming and on their heyday in 1989. You know, it was kind of a select few bands. Like, you could say, sure, they had to compete with Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, but also Judas Priest was like taking them on tour and all of that. Like, you know, now we're trying to compete. You know, maybe that's not the right word, but
no, it is.
It's trying to compete with Megadeth and Judas Priest still to get our stuff noticed, and people are like, well, you guys weren't around in 1982. You don't know what's up. It's like, I can't control. I wasn't born until the 90s. But
and I think let's branch off of this real quick, and we'll get back to Thrash Unlimited. But what, in your opinion, you know, is going to happen? Obviously, metal is still going to be here. It's always going to be underground. It's always going to be here. There's always going to be bands like us that are going to be doing this shit, and the next generation. But, you know, what is going to happen to the state of metal as we know it? Because there's sure as shit ain't going to be, you know, any arena tours with new bands.
Yeah.
That's long gone. People don't value music like they did back then. So, I mean, what is the next thing? Playing clubs?
I think so. I think by 2030, a lot of the bands are going to stop, the 80s bands. And people are going to be like, well, where's the next generation of metal? What happened? Is it dead? Not knowing, you know, that you could have done a Google search. And
well, not even that, but you could have supported bands 10 years ago, aka right now, to bands be the next generation of fucking bands. And I think that's really the downfall to music in general. Besides, like, you got, and I'm going to mention this, country and EDM are supported by young people.
Yes,
they are.
Yeah,
they really are.
That helps. Is that like when new musicians come out and like just kind of your general pop music or trap, you know, or EDM, what have you. Like, yeah, that, like, they're not shunned or anything. Like, the people are like, hey, this is good stuff. They're playing what I'm into, and I like it. Hey, I'm gonna go buy a shirt and a record, and I'm gonna go see them and tell them that they're doing a great thing. But with us, it's like, you know, you weren't born in 1982, so I don't like you.
So there's an elitist mentality. Absolutely, I agree with that. When it comes to metal in general, there is an elitist, and it sucks. But also, I feel like, you know, not having enough kind of all ages venues and whatnot is really a disservice to our community. You know, having no all ages venues for the next generation of people to discover us bands is really hurting us. You know, you only can go see these fucking huge bands, you know, at all ages places, these arenas, and that's what we need to start having more, are these all ages venues, and people not, you know, being subjugated to these fucking politics that prevent them from doing it. Because when there's so much liability now with having all ages venues serving alcohol and whatnot.
I thought people just put an X on your hand and it was like, hey, you don't get them.
That's when it was sensible. That's when the world was sane. So like, it's not like that anymore. But it should be, right?
Yeah. I thought seriously it was as simple as a wristband or an X on your hand. And people are like, hey, okay, you can come see the band, but you just can't have a beer. Like, what's simple enough?
And it just, maybe I just don't get it because I'm not a fucking venue owner and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it just seems like that is one area where we could do better in, and it'd be easy, somewhat, if we had more people taking chances. And that's maybe that's what we're kind of doing here right now, right? Is like we're taking chances on new bands. And Thrash Unlimited, going back to Thrash Unlimited, they took chances on new bands.
Yes,
that's why, but that it seems like that doesn't exist as much. And I guess, how can we, in your opinion, give me one thing that where you think we can kind of do better at this and encourage and shine the spotlight on new bands?
That's a good question, because something like Thrash Unlimited was so positive for that, and like I said, our demos for Insinnerator were so beyond bad that no one had any business trying to promote us like that. Like if I had heard my demos now, I would have been like, there's no way these people are serious, passionate or not. There's no way. It's terrible. But yeah, I'm not sure where a good avenue would be to share that in a positive way. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya, but don't just. I wish there was a place for new bands to share their music, promote their art, and not have people just be like, "Oh, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. You guys should kill yourselves." It's like, okay, it's a little extreme.
Well, you could have a Thrash Unlimited nowadays. You could have one. I mean, the guy that did it before, he could do it again. And
yes,
moderate and make sure that he's doing quality control on the right bands.
And I just like, I think the only issue that I see with that is just like, and maybe it's just my internet usage of how I'm more on just kind of your normal social medias like Facebook and Instagram and such, are like, it seems like forums as a whole have just kind of died. There's subreddits and things like that for every interest out there, but the like general form and the centralized form for a single topic, it just doesn't seem like there's much interest maybe for people to have to join forums, which, I mean, it doesn't take any effort. It's putting in an email, but I don't know. I guess just like Reddit kind of took the place of that. But when I think Reddit, I never think metal or thrash or death metal. I don't know why. Maybe I should think more like that.
Absolutely. And it seems, and with ours kind of, I think it would just benefit us as a community in general. Maybe not to have a forum. Maybe that's the wrong kind of lingo that I'm kind of suggesting, but something like that would be like something new. Maybe heavy metal television is the new thing, where it's like something different that's gonna, hopefully take hold of stuff, like. And I'm going to do some cross promotion here, like even, I don't know, Banger TV, as much as stuff like, they do an okay job. There's some stuff I wish they promoted more stuff from, but also too, they kind of handle more of like the big underground bands, the big label fucking bands, as I call it. And not that to say that like, and not to say that this wasn't on a big label, but it's like, the bands that have already kind of established themselves in black metal and death metal, like that's what they pertain to.
Yeah. And I understand sometimes like that, like, you need, if for a Banger TV, you need the views or your ratings.
Sure.
And maybe there's maybe there's some money involved. Hey, let's slip you this. Can you promote this? Or you know what? There's always things
Favors
like
and what? Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Politics.
But yeah, like that's just, the music business. But I do understand. I do, even just a block of something, a specific YouTube channel, just, like Trevor of the Black Dahlia Murder does a fantastic job when he reviews his albums. I'm not sure if it's for Decibel or Revolver, but he'll go maybe monthly and pick out some stuff like that I have never seen promoted from labels that are much more independent or bands that are much more independent. And Trevor, he gives them this fantastic spotlight with his audience, which I think is just an amazing thing to do, and just another way just to keep it going and keep it positively growing. And maybe I would love to see like a Banger TV with such a big audience do something similar.
Absolutely. That, it could easily be done. It's just one more video you'd have to make.
Right. Yeah.
But that's so, like, lastly, going off of the Thrash Unlimited, like, let's kind of talk about, the whole ending to it and what you kind of remember. And obviously we discovered, bands. I remember discovering like Sacrificer and Execution, and they dismantle the cross or whatever. That fucking demo rules. Remember that fucking? I loved the hell out of that fucking demo.
That demo is one of my favorites.
Rules, dude. But I discovered those kind of bands and Fueled by Fire through like Sirius satellite radio, and then on Thrash Unlimited and MySpace and whatnot. So it just I guess what I'm kind of saying is that was one benefit to having a forum such as this, because we got to discover our generation of bands, man.
Yes.
And for you, when did you start to notice the slow decline of the Thrash Unlimited, and what kind of transpired?
I think it was probably around 2013 that I kind of noticed it was cooling off. I think at that time, Facebook had really become this, the solid social media. And people who were friends on the forum that maybe would have used like the DM feature before, well, they just became friends on Facebook and would just talk through there. I think also it got really, there's also like two other things that I remember. One was, it's almost like those things where people are talking about, did you know Kirk Hammett played in Exodus before Metallica? Topics like that. It's like, it almost feel like people ran out of things to say. How many times can you talk about that in one post one topic, when you could just hit page 2 and see that on the next page and page 3? I feel like people were kind of running out of things to say in terms of the general discussion of thrash and death metal and such. And with that, man, it got nasty there for a while. There were quite a few individuals who were just like kind of ruining the place, being just kind of unpleasant online bullies, as we probably all have been in our lives. But these are guys, in like their 40s and 50s that were just like, picking on teenagers. And it's like, dude, why do you have beef with me? But but yeah, like I remember it got really kind of like, and again, I'm not a whole like positivity all the time, but it got really like negative and uncomfortable there. It really felt like you couldn't post something without someone flaming you, to use that term for forums. And I think honestly that kind of just drove people away, just to maybe stay on Facebook where their audience came with them as well, and they were kind of able to have the same features. Yeah, as I think a lot of bands, as their likes grew on Facebook, it was like, well, I have 5,000 fans here on Facebook. I don't need to. I'm sure everyone that's on the forum is on the Facebook, so and then some. So I'll just post on the Facebook. So bands stopped using their own personal forums less, probably around 2013. And I think after that, Edward Duke, and he was public about this, so I'm sure he won't mind me saying, and I won't disclose what kind, but he became ill and had to step away. And I think over time, him and Carol Shigo was just like, not enough people are using this. I don't think we need to fund this anymore. And I feel like one day I just went to go check it out and it wasn't there anymore.
And I know a couple of them still do like reviews and interviews and whatnot. And one of them is Skull Fracturing Metal or whatever.
Yes. That was a guy named Emmett who started that, and he's passed it off to someone. I think they paired up for a time, Scott and Emmett. Emmett started it, Scott came along, and I think Emmett just kind of passed to Scott. And
they do a great job, man. I'm a fan of what they do.
He is an incredible reviewer. He is thorough. He is very insightful with what he likes and what clicks with him. And I personally read every review he posts, even if it's like something that I'm not very familiar with, or it might not be my cup of tea, but I enjoy seeing what he has to say about it, because maybe he could change my mind if it clicks with him. It's like, well, if it clicked with him, maybe I should check this out. And
absolutely.
See if I like it.
And I think it's super beneficial to having those websites still, and Banger TV and Heavy Metal Television and all these things that just will kind of cater to the next generation and keep it going, because without it, it's gonna, it won't be here anymore.
Right.
So it's just, and in saying that, I want to thank you, Chris, again for coming on and hanging with me. Let's do this again. We'll pick another topic and bring you back on, and obviously, talk our ears off and whatnot. Hopefully Shannon will, come on here and we can fucking have a 3-peat of just, I don't know, topics and disclose some stuff. So, but before I let you go, what is going on with Insinnerator right now?
Oh, well, we just celebrated 10 years of our debut album, Stalagmite of Ice, which is wild. That was a very fast 10 years. We have commemorative anniversary type merchandise at our Bandcamp, insinnerator.bandcamp.com. We have cassettes and t-shirts and long sleeves. We have some news coming out soon about another one of our previous albums. I'll wait until that has officially been announced, maybe before I can say some more. But we are grinding on this new album. I think last time we talked, I said the same thing. But we are grinding on it. I think we have about a song and a half left to finish. And then that will finally be done. We will get in the studio, we will record it, and we will be out there touring wherever we can. We have shows booked in Chicago right now. We have stuff booked in Japan. And I think we are in talks to do some runs with another band from the East Coast next year. So things are happening. They happen slowly because, like I said, I'm 10 years in, I'm still learning how to do all this. But things are going well. I think things are about to get pretty extreme and get pretty cold. So
absolutely, man. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I want to thank you again, seriously, for coming on the show, man. It means so much, and let's do it again sometime, dude.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I genuinely appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. This was fun. So we'll do it all again relatively soon. But another episode of Poppitt's Corner, guys. I'm out. Cheers.
Hey, what's up? This is Eric from Worst Watch, and you're experiencing Poppitt's Corner.
What is going on, everyone?
How are ya?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Let's explain. Let me quick introduction. Obviously, this is Poppitt's Corner presents the MX Machine Hour.
The MX Machine Hour.
I like it.
We just we figured that out right now, and I'm happy to be back to Poppitt's Corner. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming back. Cheers, my man.
I had a lot of fun last time. We weren't done with storytelling, and I got some stories to tell. So I'm here to tell some stories.
let's do it, my man. Yeah, what brings you on here? I'm thoroughly excited that you had messaged me to do this.
To get started, we're here to talk about history. We're here to talk about rock and roll. We're here to talk about MX Machine and a lot of stories that came about and around it. So, here we go. I appreciate you calling me back. And when I saw you last time, it was, I drove away going, wow, man, this is amazing. Thank you, Sherman Jones. Thank you. And it was really cool. So here I am back. I'm humble and I have some really funny stories to tell. And that's why I'm here to sort of explain this whole story of MX Machine from the beginning and through the years. And let's have some fun. So
I'm excited, man.
We'll to start, it's it all started before MX Machine, obviously, this story, and that's why I'm here to sort of explain it. There are many people that were involved in this, and so for me, it all started in junior high, and this whole story with MX Machine is an amazing story, and for me it started in junior high, and that's why I'm here. When I was a kid, I was thrust into El Sereno Junior High, and that was in L.A., and that was in the year 1979, and it was a powerful movement that year, and it was a very historical year for rock and roll, and I guess you could say it's being in the right place at the right time. Is there a fan?
Yeah, I'll put on a fan. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
But I'll continue on as my wonderful host gets a fan. I was in the right place at the right time, and I say that because it was 1979 and 1980. That's when I walked into El Sereno Junior High. It was by a fluke, and my world changed that day. So my mother passed away in a car accident when I was 12, and that was in that year. And that's why I was thrust into that town to live with my dad full time. The day I walked into El Sereno Junior High was a day that changed my life. I was in the 7th grade, believe it or not. And that's why I'm here to tell this story, because it all started in the 7th grade. And when you look at a kid today in the 7th grade, you see a very young child with the future ahead of them, with all the world. They're kids. When I got thrown into El Sereno Junior High, when my dad walked me in that day, when it changed my world was because of that school at that year. I walked into a rock and roll high school that changed my life forever. I went from suburban North LA County, living with my mother, and in an instant, I was thrown back into El Sereno to live with my dad, and he took me and enrolled me. Probably got to edit that bullshit. Anyways, when I walked into that school that one day, it did change my life, because I never saw kids like that. I mean, I walked into just an animal house of kids who were they were rock and rollers. The disco era was huge. Everybody was dressing down, and this was junior high. This was not high school. These were kids. And I walked into a school that was just like, I was, in a week, I was blown away by what is this all about? This is insanity. This is El Sereno Junior High, 1979, coming into 1980, and it was the very quintessential Cheech and Chong school that you get. That's what I could think of right now as Cheech and Chong, walking into just rock and roll high school that was infused with just absolute party mentality across the board. and it was culture shock. And it wasn't just culture shock because it was a predominantly Hispanic, Mexican American school. I was in culture shock because I walked into a rock and roll school. I walked into a school that every kid knew every band, every genre, from Led Zeppelin to Black Sabbath to, just they were fans. It was rock fans like I'd never seen before growing up in northern LA County suburbia. Canyon Country, Valencia, that's where I was, good times, but this was inner city reality, and it was mind blowing. I was transformed instantly by the culture shock, and with what was going on around me, it was easy to fall. Some people might say victim. I say I was in the right place at the right time, and it was meeting these kids on the streets changed my life more than anything else at that time. And it was because of just how close everybody was and how everybody was just, so real in what I saw because of all the stuff they came from home, but the cool thing is that, getting into this scene was what blew me away the most. And I'm sorry for getting, off track, but again, that's where I met the people that transformed me, that changed my life forever. And
now, how many kids are we talking about here?
This was the whole school. The whole school. When I walked in, there were, it was my first encounter with drugs, with partying, with I didn't even know who Black Sabbath really was until I entered that school. I'm sitting in a class, I didn't know anybody, and some kid hits me on the shoulder and asks me, "Hey man, when's the new Ozzy record coming out?" That's what he asked me. I was in that school for a week. I didn't know who Ozzy was back then, but the funny thing is when he tapped me on that shoulder and asked me about the new Ozzy record, he was asking me about the Blizzard of Oz. That album hadn't even dropped yet. You have to think about, what I'm getting at is that
1981.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And so this was 79, and this kid is asking me, "When's the new Ozzy record coming out?" And I didn't know Ozzy. I didn't know what was up. I heard of Black Sabbath, but I wasn't, I was into a whole other genres of rock and roll at that time. It was El Sereno that brought me to all those amazing heavy metal albums, because all those kids were so in tune with what was going on. It was inner city, it was LA. And so when I would go to school, I was a surfer. I'm wearing, this is the shit I wore when I started going there. And everybody thought I was this outsider surfer, this kid from out of town, because they were all wearing concert shirts. All those kids there were, they were discos. They were wearing rock and roll concerts. They were, Led Zeppelin, stoner heads. It was incredible. I mean, it was hippie central. And again, this is junior high. These are 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. And to me, they were as grown up as any grown up could ever be, because these kids were all rock and rollers, the ones that I was like in tune with. But they were into the Journey, the Cars, Rolling Stones, all those bands. And every time there was a concert in LA, they would come the next day wearing that concert shirt. And that was growing up in 79, and that was being there in 80. And that was seeing that transformation of rock and roll for my my own eyes. I saw it. Right. I saw that transformation, because 1980 was the epic year of rock and roll releases. Yeah. And so
AC/DC, Ozzy, Black Sabbath,
Iron Maiden, Michael Schenker Group. There are so many. Riot. There were so many amazing 1980 releases, which shook the world. I mean, it shook rock and roll. And we were there as little kids in junior high when all those albums dropped. When Back in Black dropped, it was just phenomenal. And I remember the kids. I remember the tours. I remember everybody going to those shows. And if you weren't going to those shows that night on a Wednesday or on a Friday or on a, you were a nerd. You know, you had to come back
Anybody
to school
who
the
is
next day
anybody
with a
was
shirt.
there.
Yeah, anybody who's everybody. You had to have that shirt. You know, I remember when the Cars played, and the next day everybody had that shirt with the car, with the tire tracks that came across the shirt. And that was El Sereno Junior High. But it goes deeper than that, because not only was it a rock and roll and a music-oriented school, because you had the discos. They were heavy into disco, you know, and they dressed it. You know, the gals, they dressed like, you know, these were young gals just dressing as beautiful as they can be in 8th and 9th grade. But they had their scene too. And that was where the disco sucks era came from, you know, and so because everybody hated it because rock and roll was rock and roll. And so that was El Sereno Junior High at the time. It was fueled by drugs, fueled by music, fueled by just truancy and shit talking and comedy. And when I started going to those classes, these kids were so hilarious and so full of sarcasm to the teachers. I found my place so fast. It was incredible. And that's why I give so much props to El Sereno Junior High for bringing me into that scene, because I was in the right place at the right time when I met these kids who forged my path to make me who I am and to bring me to where I am today. It was because of that school, and it was because of those kids that I met who turned out to be amazing people, you know, and I'm very proud. You know, I could, you know, the stories are amazing, and I don't even know where to start about what we used to do and what we got away with.
Well,
it was insanity.
That would be interesting to see what actually you guys got away with. But how was the high school years for you?
But high school, but see, junior high was still, you know, it's what we did in junior high first that got us. You know, high school was, you know, I mean, I remember in my bed at night. It was a Wednesday night. It was a weeknight, and I remember one night some people knocking on my window. Somebody's throwing rocks, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I go to my window, and it's these two gals. It's Michelle and Monique. I'm not going to mention their last names. They were just like, oh my God, it's a good thing that this was your room. We don't know whose room this, you know, they just came to find me.
Right.
And they're like, we got a van out there. Come on. You know, I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm just like, give me 5 minutes. And so I put my clothes on and I got out and I went out there, and there's this gigantic hippie van sitting down the street from my dad's house up on the hill. And I'm just like, oh my God. And like, we get in, and it's, you know, it's my buddy Teddy, it's Michelle, it's Monique, it's this guy David. And he took his uncle's van, and we went joyriding all night. School night, that was 9th grade, you know, and so, you know, stuff like that was now happening constantly. And that was before I met the guys who became MX Machine. You know, we were having fun I was meeting all the stoner kids in school. I was meeting all the rock and rollers, and it was El Sereno Junior High that connected me with so many different new bands that it was amazing. I mean, Neil Young, I would have never have known Neil Young, Live Rush, and Rust Never Sleeps, and all of those amazing albums that because of my direction at junior high at El Sereno, and how they brought all this different rock and roll to me, you know, and then getting into high school. But we used to do so much crazy stuff back then that people would be shocked to know that our nights in junior high were every night we were rocking. Every night we had something to do. And when I met Danny and Ronnie, And getting back to the first episode we did, they were the ones who changed my life. And they were the ones who led me to the rock and roll and where I am today. And so with that, that's where the fun began. And that's, that was the end of 8th grade, coming into 9th grade is when I met these guys that would basically change my life. And that's when I finally started hearing about all these kids in El Sereno that I eventually met, who eventually became the band Armored Saint, who eventually became, we became MX Machine. There was a whole grand circle of people there who were a part of that scene before Armored Saint, before MX Machine. There was this mob of guys.
Yeah, you had your own clique.
There was a clique. And when I first discovered that's in junior high, when my buddy Ronnie, and I knew this kid Billy, and we used to talk about this, and he used to tell me, yeah, you got to meet my friends, you got to meet this guy, you got to meet, he's a drummer, you got to meet my drummer. And instantly he started talking about, and this is in school, he started talking about his friends outside of school. He started talking about John Bush and my friend Danny and Henry, and you got to meet my friend Channing, and you got to meet all these people, Gonzo and Phil, but Gonzalo, that was Gonzo, back then that was his name, and so it was just, all I wanted was to meet these kids. I was like, who are these guys? I want to meet them. These rock and rollers. He just kept buttering me up to, these guys, they're musicians. They're in rock and roll. They're, and he even said, we're going to make it. He was like, you want to come with me? Come with me. We're going to, and I wanted to meet them.
Now, question for you. Is this before you even started? You were playing bass already at that time. No, you weren't. This is way before.
No,
okay.
Yeah. When Ronnie and Danny had a band. And that's all he was like, we got a band, we're going to make it, Van Halen. And Ronnie used to just, oh my God, he used to fill me with such amazing dreams. And he had the most incredible confidence. So when we're walking from one class to another, that's when he said, you want to be in the band, and I started out being a singer, and that didn't work because I sucked, but he introduced me to these guys and instantly made me a musician. And again, that was overnight. I wasn't a musician, but I saw the dream that was in them. And I wanted that dream. I wanted to meet all these guys because here we are, and I want to go there. You're filling me with all these dreams. I want to meet Danny. I want to meet his brother Henry. I want to meet these guys. So I finally met them. And when I met Danny Anaya, my instant reaction was, this guy is Keith Moon. He is the most incredible, insane, immature idiot. He was so hilarious. His sense of humor, he was just, and I met that before I even saw him play. I saw that, before I even saw him play drums. But when we finally started getting together to play, that's when I started picking up an instrument. I sucked at singing. Ronnie and Danny gathered, and they were like, he sucks, so they kicked me out of the band right away. I'm like, well, what about if I play bass? And they're like, okay, you could play bass. So I got an old bass, and I painted it, and I restrung it at Pedrini's Music in Alhambra.
Remember what the brand was called?
It was a Telecaster copy. It was a Telecaster bass.
Knockoff.
Yeah, back then they were all called copies. It was before all the amazing guitar companies came around. But yeah, it was a Telecaster. I painted it cherry red, restrung it. It worked, and eventually I was able to get a better bass. But that's how it started, and we started playing in the garage at Ronnie's house. But I'll tell you, man, it was even before we started jamming. It was when I met those guys. It was when I met, like Ronnie said, all these older high school guys, and I finally met them, and that was Joey Vera, John Bush. There was Channing was in the circle. There was Gonzalo and Phil, the brothers. There were a couple cats from the neighborhood were very legendary that I got to give props to. David Avila, I met him once. He was a guy who was an amazing guitar player in the neighborhood. El Sereno was a rock and roll neighborhood. It was rock and roll central, which is what I found out. And that's just where the fun began. The fun in my life began as soon as I met all those characters. That's when it just became, true rock and roll. And even being a kid, we were experiencing rock and roll rock stardom at that age because we just started taking off on our own. As soon as we got our driver's licenses, as soon as Danny got his driver's license, we were gone. When there was a place called Jay's Liquor in Alhambra. Again, going back to the mayhem, Jay's Liquor became not just the local liquor store, but it became our refrigerator because every weeknight we'd go out and we would go to Jay's Liquor before any event.
And now was that when the beer was like a fucking tab? You had to like pull the tab open.
Mickey's Big Mouth. We were big on Mickey's. We were getting malt liquor. We were doing the torpedoes. We were buying those torpedoes. Even on a weeknight with nothing to do, we'd go and buy a torpedo.
Malt liquor.
We go to LVT, buy a dime bag, and we just go to the top of the hill and drink and howl at the moon, and listen to music, listen to Rush and Judas Priest and and all that music. And it was amazing. We were free. We were kids listening to music. Our parents were, it's not like it is today, and,
I don't
there
know
was
what you're
this,
saying. For me, it is.
Well, perhaps, we had there was this street in El Sereno called LVT. And every night you can go to LVT. And it started on the bottom of a hill. It drove up and over to the other side. And when you got to the top, you park, and every kid on the top of the street would come out and surround your car, and you can get whatever you want. Weed, any kind of weed, LSD, PCP if you wanted it. It was LVT, Linda Vista Terrace. Fucking amazing. It was just an emporium for any night of the week.
Now, do you think it's still there?
Oh, hell no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hell no. Yeah, that disappeared. Oh no, that was that'll never come back.
That was an era.
That was an era. So we were going to LVT always. You go to LVT, you go to Jay's Liquor, you take off in the night. But when I met these guys, and when I met this circle, that's when again the partying began, because that's when they turned me on to the real rock and roll. John Bush, without John Bush's garage and growing up with him and sitting in his garage and listening to the records that he used to spin for us.
Give me an example of real quick of like some records he would spin for you guys.
He turned me on to all of it. I mean, as kids, we would go there and just, he would spin records like a DJ. But that's where I got to learn about the Rainbow and the Ronnie Dio. And John Bush was the in his garage, turned me and whoever was there on to the very first Iron Maiden. The very first Iron Maiden I ever heard was in his garage. The very next day, I went to the record store, I believe it was Music Plus, and I found the album, the very first Iron Maiden album, and I bought it. And it changed my life, but his record collection, growing up, listening to all this stuff was amazing, because, the Tigers of Pantang, Riot, the new wave of British heavy metal is basically what he turned us on to, because I was into American rock and roll. I was into Ted Nugent. I was into The Who. Okay, they're not American, but you know what I mean? He's the one who turned me on to the new wave of British heavy metal. Motorhead, all that. He had this black Comet, this car. We would drive around town all day long listening to cassettes of Judas Priest with Les Binks and just this old school metal I never heard of before in my life. And it became a part of me instantly. It was Danny, it was Ronnie. You got to listen to this Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East. It's just, and my God, the first time I ever heard it, it was just, again, I'm a kid, just, I'm a rock and roller, but I didn't know this kind of rock and roll. you know, and these kids were party animals, and I want to go where these guys are going, you know, and pretty soon they're like, we're going out. There's a concert. Let's go. And we started going to concerts, and that's when I started to learn about Odd Fellows Temple in Pasadena and Pookie's. The first concert I really went to, like a local gig, was Odd Fellows in Pasadena, I want to say. And it was Smile, a band called Smile. It was Snow with Carlos Cavazo.
Smile what turned into, damn it, that's going to bug me now.
I think they faded away, or
But
with
they
all
turned-
respect.
They turned into...
Tommy Gervin went on to Tommy Gervin, the guitar player, has been with Eddie Money all these years after Smile, but they were amazing, and so and again that was before before all the days. That's when I was starting to come up.
That was Brian May's project. That's where I heard it.
Yeah,
before.
no. This is Smile was Smile was a band from Pasadena, Temple City, that area.
So-
they were amazing. Jim Volpe on drums. We used to, my first rock and roll experiences were those Pasadena shows. There was a massive Pasadena scene. So jumping around, because that's all we did. We became party animals every night. Every night we found something to do. Again, once we got our driver's licenses, we were gone. And we were just looking for fun, looking for, they were good times.
Tell me, well, this is going to be later on, so I won't.
Right.
Well, let's get back on track, because I want to ask there's some later on questions that I'm trying to.
Right, yeah, it's
write
confusing.
down. Yeah.
So
let's get to like the early 80s, right? This is
the
where we're
early
at.
80s is, that was a part of the big scene for me and for what was going on is I got in touch with these kids. I started hanging out with all these guys. It became, weekly, every day. We became a massive circle, and that's when I started seeing these amazing bands. You want to talk the early 80s. When Iron Maiden came out, they started playing out. When KNAC started,
Well,
that's the early 80s.
Okay, that was 85, so that was mid 80s.
Okay, well, right, yeah.
Let's go before that.
Before that, absolutely. 1981, Iron Maiden, the Killers tour.
Okay.
Again, when Iron Maiden album dropped, the second one, Killers, we were already massive Iron Maiden fans. Our circle, it was just phenomenal. And so back in the day, we had the LA Times calendar section. And
now, what was that? What
every
was the
Sunday was the calendar section. There was no internet. There was no texting. And there wasn't even pagers back then. But you would go to the LA Times every Sunday. You'd open up the calendar section. And that is where the concerts were laid out for the upcoming months. And the big shows would always be a full page. And looking forward to the Sunday calendar section for a rock and roll fan was weekly. It's like the calendar. Awesome. Who's coming out? You go to the back. And I remember, because whenever those full page ads would come out, we would be on the phone to each other. Oh my God.
Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush is coming. We got to go see him. Or fucking, the
anything
Ted
that you
Nugents
like.
or-
That
yeah.
when those pages appeared.
Priest's coming. We got to go see him.
One of the first ones was a full page ad for UFO with special guest Iron Maiden.
Wow.
And when that was Long Beach Arena, and I want to say April 1981, but it was 1981, and it was we blew up. It was just, we couldn't believe, because we were already such Iron Maiden fans that we never expected them to come to America. We were just, I had already owned the album, and we'd already owned Killers, so Killers came out, and it was just like, holy shit. But then all of a sudden the full page ad comes out, and there's Iron Maiden debut show at the Long Beach Arena with a UFO. So fucking A, we got tickets. And that's getting back to the early 80s. We were able to see these shows, and we went. And when we went to see that show, getting back to junior high, and now we're we're there. That was one of my first acid trips. And so not only did we go see UFO and Iron Maiden live at the Long Beach Arena, but it was one of my first acid trips.
Now, who gave you the acid?
we got it at school.
Oh, okay.
That's where you get it.
In 8th grade, you got it at school.
Yeah. And so that's, again, that's the comedy of it. That,
wow.
Here's the fucking amazingness, is that LSD was a rite of passage for us. And that goes all of us. We took it a lot. And we took it in, and we had the most incredible experiences because of it. And I have no regrets, and I think that every artist should experience it sometime in their life. End of story. I'll let that go. Anyways,
you got any?
I'm sorry.
I said you got any?
No, but
I guess I got to experience it. Once
no. You know what I mean. That's old school. Getting back to this though, it's shocking because we're going to the show to see Iron Maiden, and Danny's parents are driving us in the old white Duster. So we're in the back seat, and that's when we dropped the acid. So we dropped acid on the way to see Iron Maiden at Long Beach. They dropped us off. They said, "Okay, boys, have a fun time." We went to the show. We did the show. They picked us up and took us home. Go figure. That's where this is an amazing experience for us because we're there, and we had, we're there for the first time. We're Long Beach, I believe. Yeah, my first time at Long Beach was Judas Priest. But again, getting back to those days, we were there. We went to Iron Maiden, and we were peaking off our asses. And when we went to that show, nobody knew who Iron Maiden was hardly. And it was a sold-out show for UFO. And we had made it down onto the floor because we snuck down. We snuck down onto the floor for every show.
Well, see, that's a thing. So my dad told me that story. So he every time he would go to a show, whether it was Ted Nugent or I don't know, Priest or Motorhead, he would get nosebleed seats.
Yep.
Sneak down somehow to the front.
It was a game.
It was a game.
Yeah, that's what we did too. You buy nosebleeds. I mean, if you really wanted to see the show, and if you had the balls that we had, and if you had the adrenaline, that's what we did. And so, but Danny's the one who started it, and Ronnie too, but he would say, "See you later," and he would just ditch us. And then one day I was just like, okay, and that's when we learned to jump walls and jump from this area to the other, jump behind Coke machines. So here we are, we're peeking our asses off, and Iron Maiden comes out. And that was a Killers tour. This roadie comes out with an Eddie mask over his head, and the Ides of March explodes on stage, and the whole sitting audience who knew nothing about Iron Maiden, this guy just comes out on stage and starts telling everybody, "Get up!" Get up. The Ides of March are playing, and we're just, given our condition, it's just fucking amazing. And the entire crowd got up on their feet. The opening act that nobody knew about ever because of, the music coming through the PA, the Ides of March coming through the PA system. They're not playing it. It's a PA playback.
And now, is this before the Priest and Maiden tour for Point of Entry?
Oh, I don't know about that.
That was 81 or 82. So.
Yeah, no, the Iron Maiden tour with Killers was with UFO at Long Beach. They might have done dates elsewhere in other cities.
It's very famous. That's
yeah,
what I'm asking.
Yeah, it could be. But the Iron Maiden debut in LA was with UFO there. And when they came out, they were, everybody rose to their seat. And then that kid, that roadie left, and you see these dark images come out on stage. It was Maiden, and they opened up with Sanctuary. And again, it was phenomenal. I mean, they played, I remember they played Another Life. They played Killers, obviously. They went through such an amazing set. But when they went through Another Life, that drum, they even dedicated to Clive. I remember it.
They dedicated to the drummer they had playing with them?
Yep. This is for Clive because it was so amazing.
Right.
He's like, "This is for our drummer Clive," and because it was it was Clive Burr, man. And so, but getting back to this night, here we are. We're a wreck. I mean, we're just fucking like, this is just wow. We're back. Now we're following Danny. The show's over. Iron Maiden. We're not really even now. We're on a mission to get backstage. UFO hadn't come on yet. So now it's like, we got to get backstage. We're peaking. We're just like, what's going on here?
Now, how difficult was that?
Easy as fuck.
Really?
Fucking, well, because if there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
Sure. But that's the concert. I want to say, because there was a couple ones, but that was a concert where there was a Coke machine against a wall. There was the gate to get backstage. There was a Coke machine. And then there was a little bit of room between the gate in the VOM. So we snuck behind the Coke machine and behind the gate. And just like that, we were backstage. And now, we're flipping out because we're backstage. We really didn't see the UFO set that night. We're tripping out. But we finally make it backstage after the UFO set. And I remember going into a room and meeting Pete Way. And so we walk into a room and there's Pete Way. And Danny, me, Ronnie's with us, Pete Zahorowitz with us, another guy. We're just blown away because now we're in a room with UFO. We're talking to Pete Way. The show's over. He's a ball of sweat. He's wearing his classic black and white striped pants. We can't communicate because we're so incapacitated. So we meet Pete Way. That happens. We get kicked out somehow. We end up leaving. We got to get back to the car for Danny's mom and dad to meet us. Yeah, so we're leaving the backstage area, and who's there? Adrian Smith is in a gold Porsche, and he's surrounded by a bunch of fans. He's signing autographs. He's got this gorgeous blonde with him. He's in this rented gold Porsche backstage, Long Beach Arena. We mob him. He signs Danny's Vans because Danny, he wore Vans. That's it. He signed his Vans. And then he fucking took off and he just sped off into the fucking night. And that was Adrian Smith. And, and that was our experience at Iron Maiden in 81.
Can I ask you real quick? So Long Beach Arena is literally a hop, skip, and a jump from Fenders. Do you recall if Fenders existed back?
Yeah,
in
we
that
played
time?
Fenders with Death Angel.
Well, no, I showed you that ad or whatever. But no, I'm talking do you remember if back in the early '80s was Fenders like an actual thing, or did it?
Oh no, absolutely. Fenders Ballroom was a massive punk venue. And it was very popular. The big punk shows, the Long Beach punk shows used to go out of Fenders. And then the heavy metal bands started coming in there when they were strong. Right. A lot of strong metal acts came there too, and us, Well, but Fender's Ballroom was amazing.
But it existed during
it did.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know a big history about the Fender's Ballroom. We did play. We destroyed a motel room after that night too. So
well, I got to hear that when I get to the Fenders days,
right?
But
But yeah, growing up, it's just like El Sereno Junior High was amazing, is what I'm getting at, and the times that we had, and all the different, all the crazy times we had were amazing, and it was weeknight, and it was and the things that we used to do together as a mob were amazing, and it's just. It was the right place at the right time. And that was when Armored Saint was even forming. They hadn't even had a band. They were just mustering up. And and that was before Dave Pritchard even came into the scene. And then we met Dave Pritchard, the South Pass scene sort of came into play. And that's when an even bigger mob developed. Because at first we were all rolling hard, just these kids of El Sereno, ditching parties and, the fun goes on. I remember, we're sitting one night, a bored weeknight. We at Jay's, we're drinking quarts in the parking lot after scoring. We'd walk all night in El Sereno to get to where we wanted. We didn't have drivers. We didn't have cars or driver's licenses until later. So we'd walk everywhere. Even when the South Pass scene came in. We're all sitting in a parking lot at El Sereno Library one night in the middle of the night, on a weeknight, late to get home, shooting the breeze. And next thing you know, this fucking M80, sizzling M80 firecracker comes over the wall, right into the middle of all of us. And just no time at all. It just blew up right in front of us. But those were the good times.
So after this Long Beach show, when did you explain to me kind of the first band practice of MX? Can we go there yet, or is that way later?
Yeah, you know, I mean, the first band practice was after high school. You know, we were already going through the motions. You know, Armored Saint was already rolling hard, and we were very, very inspired by that. So you know, I put a band together, and the word MX came up in high school. It was my dream band name. We had a couple others. You know, we had a couple other bands with Ronnie, and you know, we had a band with Pizza Horwitz. You know, a bunch of amazing experiences before. And before I get to that, I do want to say a couple things, and we could edit this shit out. Yeah, I mean, you know, we'll edit.
The video won't be, but I can edit the audio for sure.
And so, but here's another one, man. I mean, before MX, and these are some amazing stories, and that's why I do want to talk about them. And that's when we were rolling with, you know, coming up in this world of rock and roll. You know, we were following some really strong cats who were really, really talented. And I got a lot of respect for that because they were all our mentors. And that's the Armored Saint guys. And that's you know, Joey Vera was in a band called Greg Leon Invasion. And they were phenomenal. They were from Temple City too. There was an amazing scene out there. And we were the younger generation of that scene. And one of those scenes I want to talk about is Earl Mendenhall and the Bloodlust story that Danny and I have.
Bloodlust the band?
Bloodlust the band. Earl Mendenhall, Steve Gaines, Sandy was in it.
Wow. Okay.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I gotta hear this, dude.
You know, Danny had a back room at his house that everybody congregated at. It was the back room. That's where his drum kit was, the monster stereo, the record collection. The photos on the wall are so fucking historic. So you know, and that's a whole different story too. But one day I get a call from a guy, and his name is Earl Mendenhall, and somebody gave him my number, and he gave me a call, and we shot the breeze, and he told me about a band project that he had, and he wanted to come down and he wanted to talk to me and Danny about it because I was a bass player and Danny was a drummer, and we were up and coming. So yeah, sure, man. You know, come on down. I called Danny. Hey, man. You know, some guy. You know, he sounds like a nice guy. You know, and his name's Earl. He wants to talk to us about a concept. And again, I wish somebody hooked us up, and I appreciate it. So he came down to Danny's back room, and when Earl showed up, you know, Danny and I were, you know, Huntington Beach, you know, boogie boarding. You know, we didn't dress rock much. You know, we were pretty much just, you know, regular dudes, and a lot of Vans and OPs and surf wear. So that's the funny thing is that Earl came to see us at the back room, and he came to give us his concept for his band. And at that time, he had a concept that was heavily inspired by the live the Black Sabbath Live Evil album. The Ronnie Dio, yeah, he was a major Ronnie Dio Sabbath fan, and which was amazingly impressive to us, and we were just like blown away that you know, and honored that this guy came. And I remember him sitting there with his, you know, with his hair and his boots and his, you know, his denim, and it was just amazing. So he gave us this lowdown of his concept for his band called Thulsa Doom. And it was so amazing and so inspired by Black Sabbath. And I remember we both, that it was just, the concept was phenomenal. But it was a little bit too much for Danny and I, considering we didn't fit the image of being Black Sabbath, just that the whole image.
Oh, so the image aspect, not the musical aspect.
Well, we didn't hear the music. We didn't hear the music. We listened to the pitch, and we respected it, and we were honored because nobody had ever come to us, as looking for a bass player and a drummer. So we're like, wow. So he gave us this great pitch. It was massive, just all the Black Sabbath you could think of. Just think about it, huge. And we were just, wow. He, hey, give it some time. And we thanked him. He went home and we talked about it. We were blown away. We had some talk. We had some laughs. We were just, just like, wow. We couldn't go with it. Plus, we were also sort of doing our own thing at the time. So time went on. That was it. That was Earl Mendenhall's pitch to us. And Earl, mad respect, man. I love you. This is amazing story. And so a couple months later, a year, I don't recall. Earl calls me. Hey man, how's it going? I got this band, we're rehearsing, you ought to come check us out, and I'm like, awesome, wow, hell yeah. I look forward to it. Fuck yeah, where? I'll come. And it was at a studio called Curly Joe's. And that was in downtown LA on Main Street. It was the brewery now. Before the brewery, right when they were, vacating everything and demolishing and LA was, abandoned, there was Curly Joe's on the 5th floor.
Okay.
And these were gigantic studio rooms layered with those those cardboard egg crates
for the sound.
For the sound. Never mind the deathly fire hazard. Nobody thought about that back then, but
yeah, they just wanted to make sure that it wasn't fucking loud.
The sound was
enough.
amazing.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. I drive down to Curly Joe's. I go to check out Earl Mendenhall's new band. I walk into this room, and there they are set up. And again, I'd already been to a million shows, but in the local aspect, the quote, the local metal show, I guess you could say, when I walked in there and saw everybody, and when they played that first song to me, it was the band Bloodlust, and they played.
Who was singing
Steve Gaines was singing, and it was the most phenomenal, the most heaviest, the sound was, it was just face melting is the word I give, because I never heard anything like that in my life. And that was Bloodlust, and that was, in LA at Curly Joe's on the 5th floor. And that was my first experience. And when I walked out of that room after what Earl gave, the pitch he gave us about his other band, I was just like, wow, dude, I that changed my life. And it changed my direction as where do we need to sound heavy. I don't know what's going on here, but this is fucking amazing.
And this is what, 82, 83?
Yeah, 80, 82, 83, I would think we were already rolling before MX. Mitch and I and Danny were already starting to jam. When Mitch came into our world, he was a little kid. He was a little shanker kid, but...
Hey, by the way, one of these episodes that we're going to do, the MX Hour,
right? I
got to get Lee Kaiser on the phone or something.
I would love to. He's up north. It'd be great.
He's got a phone like everyone else. We can. I can dial him in this mixing board. We can fucking talk to him. So.
I would love to. The last I heard, he's not on cell phone. He does smoke signals to his ranger station. I'm sure we can.
I'm sure we got a flare gun somewhere.
Exactly.
Somewhere, so.
He's. We got amazing stories. And so that Bloodlust thing. Oh, absolutely. But
I feel I'm a part of this
right.
Community.
Yeah. It's welcome. There's they go on and on. Right on, man. There's a million of them. And they go on, and even before MX, Armored Saint was making their debut.
Well, do you agree with this? Them so Armored Saint, Bitch, Omen. Those were kind of like the starter pack for LA metal.
There was a starter pack for LA metal for sure, and the starter pack in the popular world, I would say, you got to give a lot of credit to Brian Slagle and Metal Blade.
Yeah, how much of an impact did he have just in LA in general?
Brian Slagle, I don't really know the gentleman. I have great respect for him, but the funny thing about Brian is that when all those crazy shows were happening in LA, and we were going to them, we would always see this guy in the back holding up the wall at the bar with his gloves and his leather, and this big guy with his short hair, and he was a metalhead, but we didn't know where. It was like we knew he had an agenda, but that's what I know about Brian Slagle and Metal Blade, and he was there at all those shows, But as far as the first metal generation, I will truly give. There were great bands. A Bitch. They were great. We used to see a lot of the bands. We saw those. Wasp and Shocking. Seeing Wasp at the Troubadour was shocking as fuck. Not our cup of tea. But they got a lot of fans and people love them, and they did good. So good for them, But I'm gonna say that Armored Saint, I'm gonna give them credit for changing the LA club scene forever, because it was Armored Saint and us, the fans, who were so full of mayhem and adrenaline at their shows. We were their true headbangers, and because of the headbangers that came to Hollywood for their shows, we wreaked havoc among the chairs and tables that were in front of the club stages back in that day. And it was Armored Saint's energy and drive that all the clubs in Hollywood removed their tables and chairs and opened up the floors. And I'm going to give them credit for that, because I was there and I saw it happen with my own eyes. There was a famous Troubadour show where I did a stage dive, and I was chased by the security out of that club. They wanted to kill me because I dove right onto a table full of people. I destroyed every drink, the glasses, the table, it went everywhere, and that was, that was a Saint show, and because their show was so phenomenal, and so I'm proud to say that they were the ones who altered that. I could be wrong, there could be other bands who would say, "Oh no, it was us," but you know what? It was Saint, and that's it. I give them that. They were phenomenal live back then.
And when the record came out, did it do anything for you? That EP, that the first pretty much ever Metal Blade release?
It was great. Yeah, it was great. Great songs.
Game changer for you.
It was it was a game changer
for
all of us and for LA, but also for us, because that was our circle. That was we were very proud. Philip, he had the Sando van. He had this van. It was the Sando van. He used to pick us all up, and we'd follow them everywhere. And we'd go to all the shows in the Sando van, and we would party our fucking asses off. When Armored Saint played their first show at St. Paul High School, we were there. And Joey wasn't in the band. He was doing sound, and so, but that was their very first show. And we knew, these guys are going places. So was it good times for us? Hell yeah, man, because, fucking A. The destruction along the way. We were party central. We threw puke parties, toga parties. We used to destroy hotel rooms together. Dave Pritchard, when Saint and MX Machine finally started rolling, Dave Pritchard used to throw the biggest fucking parties at his house, and Armored Saint and MX Machine would play together. So
to me,
rolled hard.
To me, I think, just for my opinion, personal preference, I think Dave was pretty much the reason why Armored Saint was so great. Because if you listen to like the Revelations record, and the Delirious Nomad. I mean, it's just
Right.
him playing guitar.
Yep.
Like, I really feel he was Armored Saint, at least in my opinion, because Symbol of Salvation still had songs from him.
Right.
And that was the last great classic of
It's a great record.
of the Armored Saint camp, right? Obviously,
Right.
they've released great records after that, but I'm saying the classic lineup to me was
Right.
Dave.
He
Was his sound.
Dave Pritchard was, God rest his soul. Not only was he an amazing human being and real as fuck, his songwriting and his guitar playing and his passion was spot on. And he was in high school even. He was the quintessential rock star. And we all looked up to him so much because he was larger than life to all of us. Larger than life. You know, when we knew him well, again, we would roll so hard together. Dave Pritchard, one night, Ronnie, Dave, and I, we were going home. Dave was driving. He was like, "You guys know how to drive backwards? You ever drive backwards?" And now we're driving backwards in his little blue Datsun car, or whatever it was, at 60 miles an hour through South Pasadena, rolling through stop signs, just like driving backwards. I mean, this guy was a fucking animal. And so all respect to him. As a creative genius, he wrote the riffs that were just timeless.
Dude.
He wrote timeless riffs. And here's a fun story for me.
Give me a Dave story, man. Come on, man. Give me a Dave Pritchard
one fun story is they used to hole up at Gonzalo and Phillips' studio garage in El Sereno when they started rehearsing. And I used to go there after school. One day I went there, and Dave was there after school. He's jamming by himself, and he's riffing. And I kid you not, I walk in to say hi. "Hey, man, what's going on? Smoke a bowl. Let's smoke a bowl, whatever." I don't fucking remember, man. And so his brother Kenny had his bass there. It was a Rickenbacker. And those things are amazing basses. They're so loud. And he just goes, "Here, pick this up and let's jam." So now I'm like, hell, I was starstruck. Hell yeah. So, I'm just and I'm an up and coming bass player, no MX machine in sight at that time. So he's riffing and he tells me, "Play this, just play this." And he tells me, "Just play this note. Bum, 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 bum. That's all he's telling me to just play that. Just play that. So I started playing that nonstop with tapping my foot. And what does he start doing? He starts riffing Stricken by Fate. And I'm just like, I'm listening to this shit. I'm listening to this guy, just these open chords. He's and I'm just playing that bass riff.
Classic.
And I'm just like, I can't believe this is. But we didn't know at the time that it was going to be Stricken by Fate. But it was a riff that I'll never forget, because that was before Armored Saint, and then they started playing out. And those songs were fucking timeless. And they captured everybody. And it was I cannot tell you how blessed I am to be in those situations. Just that one moment with Dave Pritchard alone, that's it. But we got a million stories because he was so amazing.
Right.
But just a pure, real human being.
Let me ask you real quick, too. I know this has nothing to do with MX because you guys were unfortunately never on one of these compilations, but the Metal Massacre series,
right?
How much of a role did that whole series play into the LA scene out here? Because
I think that had a massive impact, because there were that was the beginning of a scene that blew up, and again, the being in the right place at the right time for Brian Slagle and Metal Blade at the same time. They did that Metal Massacre comp, and they did a couple of them, but it launched it launched the careers of quite a few, and it spread a word, and it got a message out when LA was still reeling in from the the LA scene of the 70s. You know, Metal Blade brought, you know, the LA heavy metal to the world. You know, I guess you could say, you know, because they did, and so I'm, you know, absolutely, you know, they're very, you know, they're historic. You know, I'm not a big fan of the you know, I don't follow the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. To me, it's just a museum and a tourist trap. But you know, if there is a true Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there's a lot of motherfuckers who belong in it that aren't. You know, that's why I don't. You know, my Hall of Fame is in my heart. You know, and so there are some motherfuckers out there who did their job in delivering.
Well, your Hall of Fame is in your record collection, just like mine.
Exactly. Thank you.
That's what my
exactly.
Hall of Fame is.
My, you know, what's
record,
in my heart,
what my record
what's in my collection,
is, you know?
yeah. Even though I got rid of my record collection when CDs came out, like an idiot.
Well, that's okay because I'm trying to restock yours with us new bands.
Cheers,
so I appreciate you
yeah.
having us
Dude,
in there.
Keep it up. You know, so you know, there's good times, you know, and getting back again, you know, we'll edit this, but you know, the years at El Sereno Junior High are what cemented who I am today. The crazy times, you know, the madhouse partying that we did, the ditching parties. I mean, 9th grade to me, I didn't even go. I had no time. I was too busy having fun.
Well, yeah, I know you specified
learning rock
that.
and roll and just doing what I wanted to do.
Right.
You can't do that in LA. You know, you can't do that in school nowadays.
Well, yeah, I know you specified it on the episode 1.
Right.
So obviously it ties into the 9th grade, but give me, and real quick, I'm gonna step outside real quick while you tell the story. But
we'll take a break.
Well, do you want to do a part 3 right now? If that's okay, I can shut this off and then
we'll
just do part 3. That way we can use the restroom and get facilitated.
Yeah, go.
Okay. Part 2's over. Mr. Diego, seriously,
cheers.
Like a true icon to LA metal.
I've been around the block. I'm not an icon.
You got you and Steve Gaines. There's a lot of you guys. Okay.
There's a lot of us that have been around the block.
Yes,
that's for damn sure.
I'm very grateful that all of you have been on this particular program. I really appreciate you giving me the
you got a knack
opportunity,
for
man.
radio, kid. I support you.
It.
You know, you're good.
I support
so,
you guys,
keep it up,
dude.
You know?
I support everybody out
We're
there.
gonna have fun. You know, I mean, I want to play. You know, want to play again.
Well, let's play.
All right.
We'll fucking take a break and we'll come back and we'll play some nothingness because we'll be talking. So
sounds good.
Cheers.
Peace.